Pleasant good afternoon and welcome back to the 2023 World Series of Beep Baseball, hosted by Visit Norman and sanctioned by the National Beep Baseball Association. DB Dave Benny here, alongside my play-by-play partner as always, Rosina Foster. We're coming to you live from the Gillis-Rother Soccer Complex in Norman, Oklahoma. 19 teams from across the United States are gathered to compete for Beep Ball's top prize, the NBBA Championship. This is the second of two games of the day here on Tuesday. This is the third game and final game of the double elimination stage, and of the round robin stage of the tournament. Double elimination starts tomorrow, and our game of the day here this afternoon is the number 5 and the number 6 seeds facing off. The Gateway Archers out of St. Louis and the Bayou City Heat out of Houston, Texas. Both teams come in 2-0. Both teams have won both of their games today convincingly. And if you're wondering why the number 5 and number 6 are facing each other in a round robin game, it's because there are 5 brackets and they are seated in a left to right snake formation. So the top 5 overall seeds are in separate brackets, A, B, C, D, and E respectively, and then it reverses itself and the next 5 go back in reverse order. So in Pool E, you have the 5 seed, the Gateway Archers, and the 6 seed Bayou City Heat. It has heated up since this morning. This morning, if you were with us, you saw the Austin Blackhawks defeat the Oklahoma Lookouts. And Rosina, here we are now. It's 2:30. It's about 100 degrees outside, and we've got two teams that can really just hit the ball all over the park.
We do have the Archers are going to be our home team for this 2:30 game. We have them over on our right side at first base side. They're wearing their white and black jerseys that are polka dotted black on the white at the bottom, fading up into their pink and blue, black and white arch logo. We've got the Heat on our left at third base in their orange and black jersey. Says Bayou City Heat on the front. A lot of them are wearing a lot of black pants and shorts. It's going to be very hot out here, as you said. It has kicked up to 100 degrees. We had lost most of the breeze at our 11:30 game, but it looks like it's picking up a little bit now. But that sun is straight up and shining down on everyone. Extremely hot out there. I'm under a tent and I'm already starting to get sunburnt. They're measuring out now, checking all the marks that are on the field, checking for spotters marks as they have marked out, putting the spray paint out there.
We're going to need to
keep track of all the spacing. As I said, Archers are the home team.
So that means the Bayou City Heat will be batting first as the visiting team, and the Bayou City Heat, of course, with their longtime pitcher Fonzie Medrano, and a lineup that can hit and run and score all the way up and down the lineup. When you look at Tanner Gears leading off, Mike Coughlin batting second, Joe Fleeks third, Ja'Cory Wiley batting fourth, Brandon Chesser batting fifth, and Daryl Miner in the 6th spot. Those are all potential scorers. And similar for the Gateway Archers, you talk about players like Mark Morris and Kyle Bora, Rich Crussell, Chad Dillon, and Ethan Johnston, and Demetris Morrow. These are all veteran players who have been in the league for a while, have been successful for a while, and both of these teams had relatively disappointing finishes at last year's World Series. The Bayou City Heat finished 8th overall. The Gateway Archers finished 13th overall, so both looking to improve. Now, what does the winner of this game get? Well, the winner of this game gets the overall number 5 seed going into tomorrow. The loser of the game gets the overall number 6 seed. That's just how it works. So they're really playing for bragging rights, and they're playing for an undefeated Tuesday, but other than that, there's really only one seed at stake between these two teams. Nevertheless, this looks to be a very good game. I think, Rosina, both these teams can hit, both these teams can run and score. That's going to depend on which defense shows up, particularly in the back 2 rows. Both defenses are dynamic up front on short balls. We'll see who can make the big plays in the deep part of the field, because both these teams can hit it deep.
Yeah, both of these teams today in their 2-0, both of them have had 12-run rule put into effect, both in their favors. So they're both sitting very comfortably close. I watched the first half of the Archers' last game at the 11:30 game, and caught a little bit of that. They are getting on target. They were getting warmed up well, and they were starting to work as a team very quickly in that game.
And that game ended 30-17, Gateway Archers over Atlanta Chaos. Just to give you any idea what to expect here, we're probably going to see a lot of runs, a high-scoring game here. The fields have warmed up. They are running fast, and we've got fast teams. So when you combine fast fields with fast teams, usually equals a lot of scoring.
And of course, like you said, both of them finished a little lower last year than they wanted, so they both have a lot to prove. They both have the same record so far today. This is going to be a teeth-grittingly very good game. I am anticipating highly.
Yeah, we invite you to tune in, sit back, and lend us your ears. And those of you who can see the picture, we hope you enjoy the videography and production from Graham Mathena and Live Event Productions. Again, I'm David Benny. I will be handling color commentary. Rosina Foster will be painting you the picture. Gateway Archers and Bayou City Heat coming up shortly. They've already had the coin toss. We are getting ready to start this game. We're starting it a little bit late because the second tier of games finished a little bit late, and the teams need time to, of course, get a turnaround to get ready for this third game. So we'll be getting going shortly, but if you're tuning in late, you haven't missed anything because it did not start at 2:30. Teams are still getting ready to go, Rosina.
Absolutely. We had just a little bit earlier as they were measuring out there. Fonzie was at the pitchers area, and Johnny Walker came out. They gave a nice congratulatory hug there at the beginning, saying, "Good job, let's have a good game." So they're definitely on friendly terms, but there's going to be a lot of competition here. We have the Heat on our left doing a kneel right there as they're preparing for their team huddle for the game. On the right, we have the Archers all standing, hands in the middle. Only one umbrella out there that I can see for this horrid heat, and it also is black.
So, as the teams huddle up, and we are here on field 2, as we were for our first game of the day this morning, we can tell you other games going on at this 2:30 time slot. These are the top two teams in each bracket facing each other in the third round of games, so you got some good ones. The Indy Edge and the New Jersey Titans, San Antonio Jets and Boston Renegades, they're both 2-0. Indy Thunder and Chicago Comets going on. The Philly Fire and the Austin Blackhawks. We saw the Blackhawks earlier, and then I saw the Philly Fire in the second game, which we didn't stream. I was doubling as a base operator over there, and Philly looked really good against Oklahoma. And then, of course, this is the featured game over here, Archers and Heat.
We are on field 2, our third game for the day. We have the Archers lining up arm in arm. Good team sportsmanship there. They are on their baseline as they wait to go out and take the field since they have the home team advantage. Have a little bit of a huddle calling. I can hear it coming over there from the Heat. It's time to get loud. I think the Heat is ready to go.
The Heat is on as they are off to our left down the third base side. We're directly behind home plate here at the scorer's table. And we're going to be getting going soon. You know, both of these teams have added a little bit, too, since last year, Rosina. The Archers have gotten Mark Morris, one of the best two-way players in all of beat ball, coming over from the world champion Indy Edge, where he got a ring last year. And the Bayou City Heat have added a few players. Ja'Cory Wiley, who's been a part of their team in the past, he's back now, and he's in the starting lineup. Brandon Chesser, formerly of the Austin Blackhawks, and Richie Flores is also with the Bayou City Heat. And, of course, Mike Coughlin, who's now in his second season with the Bayou City Heat, he has turned into another one of the top two-way players in beat ball. So you've got a lot of all-star caliber and a lot of high-caliber beat ball players playing in this game with two of the better pitchers in the league, Johnny Walker for the Archers and Fonzie for the Heat. And Fonzie has one of the most entertaining pitching styles, Rosina, that you say you've ever seen.
Yes, I'm very entertained by a lot of the different pitching styles. He has a very animated hop, skip, jump, and then tosses the ball in there. We have our ump, Jason Price, coming up. Preparing, ready to start this game. Fonzie checking the ties on his shoes, make sure he is ready to go. Johnny Walker checking his team to make sure they are set up out in defense on the field.
Jason.
Yeah, I definitely like all the different animated, it's not everybody hits the same and not everybody pitches the same. It's very interesting to see how these different styles can still all pull off and get those award-winning hits.
So players to watch today, I would say first for the Gateway Archers, I think it all starts with Mark Morris at the top of the lineup. He is now their table setter. He started out the year batting sixth in their lineup, has moved up to the leadoff spot. He has been sensational this year at every local tournament he has played in, as has Kyle Bora. And for the Bayou City Heat, they're top of their lineup. It all starts with Tanner Gears up top and Mike Coughlin, who's a lefty. So it's really going to be, these are two really balanced offenses. If there is an advantage, I would give the Archers a slight up and down the lineup speed advantage. But I think Bayou City can hit the ball a little bit harder consistently. So we'll just see what strategy wins out here in what should be a high octane beat baseball game here.
All right, so we do have Tanner up, just standing back from home plate as we have a couple of tosses of the official ball going across the flag plate. He's now stepping up to the plate, setting his feet on and stepping back to get his stance ready. Fonzie hopping up and down out there from one foot to the other, very animatedly.
Our umpire for today's game is the NBBA's head umpire, Jason Price. As we're getting set to go, Tanner Gears was inducted into the NBBA Hall of Fame last year in Beaumont, Texas, class of 2022.
I think there's an issue with our first base already.
Base.
So they'll work to get that squared away. And then we'll get going. Tanner Gears will be up first for the Bayou City Heat, followed by Mike Coughlin and then Joe Fleeks.
We've got Lee coming out to talk to Tanner a little bit as he waits patiently so he doesn't get too tight or tense there at the plate while waiting for the chance at his pitches. Taking a couple practice swings over the empty plate while he waits.
We'll see if conditioning and or fatigue becomes a factor with both of these teams having played 2 games already now. They won their games convincingly and they have fairly deep benches, so my sense is that they're going to still be fresh and ready to go for this one. But at some point, the sun and the heat does take a toll, so we'll see how it works today.
Let's see how quick, if anybody can come out. I'm going to make an early prediction here that the Archers are actually going to take off early. That is going to be my prediction. But I'm going to think that the Heat's going to maybe inch it out.
We'll see.
Not sure what will happen.
We'll see. Now, I will say that the Heat had a longer break between games than the Archers. The Heat got done with Minnesota fairly quickly, and the Archers just finished at around 2 o'clock or so.
And just got right over here and basically not much break, stretching. So they might be a little tired, but they also might be wound up. Had a nice, really big, easy lead there for their last game. So they were kind of cruising. I think they were putting in a lot of their second string. So they might be a little fresher than we think.
The Archers are in their 3rd competitive season. Well, if you count the 2020 pandemic season where there was no World Series, it would be their 4th year, but this is their 3rd World Series. And they've, of course, improved their program and improved their roster. And they will be the host team, or the local team anyway, for the 2024 and 2025 World Series of Beat Baseball, which will be in St. Louis, Missouri.
For 2 years.
For 2 years, and so
2024 and 2025.
Those folks that are affiliated with the Archers program, Mind's Eye Radio and the Lighthouse for the Blind of St. Louis, they really do a great job, and they're already putting the wheels in motion to have a spectacular World Series the next 2 years. But right now, the Gateway Archers aren't concerned about that. They want to take care of business today, get that 5 seed tomorrow, and then start working toward a deep run in the double elimination tournament, which gets going at 8:30 tomorrow morning with play-in games. There'll be 3 of those, 14 versus 19, 15 versus 18, 16 versus 17, and then at 11:30 tomorrow morning starts the octafinals, if you will, the first round of double elimination. We will have one of those games. We will find out tonight when the brackets are redrawn which one, but that will be our next game of the day after this one. Will be 11:30 tomorrow morning, one of the winners bracket games, and then we'll have a quarterfinal game, if you will, at 2:30 tomorrow. And then Rosina and Richie Flores, as if that wasn't enough for you, we'll have the Women of Our League exhibition tomorrow evening at 6. So you got a full day of beat baseball coming up tomorrow. But we got one more today ready to get going as soon as we can get this first base squared away. And
Jason Price is making his way back to third base again.
This will just increase the tension and drama a little bit for the start of this game as both teams
I think we're getting a replacement base. Yes, we are.
So while we have a minute, I'll just mention a few of our sponsors for this World Series and for the National Beat Baseball Association. All starting, of course, with Visit Norman and the folks over there, Trent Brown, who I saw over our lunch break. They do a great job. They're putting this on for us. New View, Oklahoma is a local sponsor for us, helping us get volunteers and other logistical support. Jersey Mike's will be providing sandwiches one of the days for all of the competitors, thanks to them. And of course the Delta Gamma Foundation for a generous grant they gave us for umpires, scorekeepers, and other officials. So, you know, it takes a village to put on a tournament like this, and we've got a lot of good help, and we really appreciate it. And it sounds like
not. It's just, it's
Still getting a vibrating.
it's running out and off.
no, it's not that. It could it be batteries?
So while we
Might go over some rules.
wait for a base, let's go over some rules, Rosina. It's a 6-inning game, 3 outs per inning, 6 players per side. The pitcher is pitching for the offensive team. He's working with the batter to put the ball in play. You've got bases 100 feet from home plate, a first and a third base. When the ball is hit, one of those bases will randomly come on. The runner runs down to that base, and if he can make contact with the buzzing base before the fielders get possession of the ball, it is a run. If the fielders get the ball off the ground and in possession away from their body prior to the runner reaching the base, it's an out. There are 4 strikes as opposed to 3. You're allowed to take 1 passed ball. The pitcher stands 20 feet away from home plate. And as I said, he's pitching underhand, trying to get his hitters to make contact with the ball. You've got 2 field spotters out there on defense. The fields are separated into zone schematics. Based on a location on the field, the spotters can call one number when the ball is put in play, indicating which part of the field the ball is expected to go to. Spotters can't give any other direction during the play. There is a 40-foot arc that the ball must cross to be considered in fair territory, and a 170-foot home run line. Ball goes over that line on the fly. It is counted for 2 runs as a home run. And we've already had one of those today, from what I understand, David Smith of the Jets. I don't know that we've had any more. I haven't heard of any other home runs except for that one.
I have asked. I have not heard of anybody reporting in any. But in the past year's World Series, we have had several home runs, especially in our final championship games. Last year there were 2. The year before that there was 1.
There was 1, but it was a big one. You have called some historic home runs. I'll tell you what, you were on the call for Corey White's drive for 5, as we call it. There was a walk-off home run to win the World Championship for the Thunder in 2021. I was on the Thunder live stream for that memorable play. And then last year, of course, Justin Howland, not once but twice in the title game.
Okay, he's messing with the connection on the ground in this working. Is that one?
We're still trying to figure this
We have
out.
the new base,
All right.
new wire, and new box.
So,
See if I get anybody else in.
with the continuing on with some of the rules, another one of the main nuances with beat baseball is, regardless of the level of visual impairment, all players must have some vision loss, blind, partially sighted, visually impaired, but regardless of that, all players are required to wear a blindfold, and that's because there are different levels of
Hey
vision.
guys, here we go.
And so you will see them all wearing a mask or a blindfold when they are in the game, so that to keep a level playing field for those who have no vision whatsoever versus those who have partial vision.
We did get an okay on this. We've got first base now working. Defense is now up off of stretching or sitting or resting to conserve their energy. Tanner's coming back up to home plate. He's got some white shorts on and yellow Nike cleats, it looks like. White batting gloves, blue sleep shades. Johnny Walker getting a final check out in the field from the archers to see if they're all ready. Spotters making sure that people are in place, and it looks like they are ready to go. Fonzie a couple tosses with the ball back into the glove, shaking his head, hopping up and down, ready to pitch. We got the base check. Looks like we're ready to go, DB.
Jason says play, so here we go. It's game on from Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay, and there was that first Fonzie pitch. The ball kind of comes up close to his face, almost like he's going to kiss it on its way, and it sends it to... And high pop up over into center field, right behind the first line of defense, way out there. Mark is running. They've just stopped even running and going for it. That is an easy run for Tanner.
It's quite a pop for Tanner Gears, and that's, you see...
Might possibly be dead ball. Everybody's still standing around, and Jason is making his way out to the far, far center field to go check on that.
Now, if there's a question about whether the ball is dead, they will turn on the base that was on during the play to make it as realistic as it would be for the defense, and then they will stand over, the umpire will stand over the ball and listen to see if he hears it. If he hears it making any noise at all, it is not a dead ball, even if it's just clicking. But if you can't hear anything, it's a dead ball, and it's a new pitch, and it's...
Well, I did see the archers cheering, so I'm thinking that it's going to be called dead ball.
And that would be unfortunate, but you just saw from that first hit why Tanner Gears has been, over the last 15 years or so, one of the more productive scorers in the league. Is he's fast, he can hit the ball high and get it in the air, and he can hit with power. And that's a dangerous combination in this sport, because you can't make a play on the ball when it's soaring through the air. You have to wait for it to come down. So if it takes 3 seconds to come down and you got somebody who can get to the base in 5, defense has 2 seconds to make a play.
And it is.
Dead ball.
Trade out for a new ball.
No pitch.
So a long, loud no pitch, and so they'll bring Tanner Gears back with an 0-1 count. You don't get a new count, you just get a new pitch. So the strike that he does first pitch still counts.
Toss there with the new ball, and wiping all the sweat off of it.
So
Tanner also needs to clear his nose there.
The first break of the game goes to the Gateway Archers, because that would almost certainly have been a run for Tanner had that ball not failed.
Still hopping from Fonzie as we get a base check. Ball was a little low underneath that swing. And a hard slam pop up over into left. Mark Morris running for it. Has caught it with his leg. He is...
What a play!
What a play by Mark. He
Yeah.
ran over there. He's skipping. He just caught that just perfectly. Caught it like at his just above his knees and reached down and scooped it up.
So that is a huge difference for the Gateway Archers this year. Is Mark Morris playing back there last year? That's likely a run out there deep, and most times it would have been. And we mentioned it's going to come down to the deep players and some of the deep defense in this game. Good start for Gateway, and a put out by Mark Morris of his leadoff counterpart, Tanner Gears. That's high-level beat ball right there, Rosita.
So we do have Mike Coughlin up to bat. He is, like you said, a lefty for the Heat, standing patiently in his black pants, red and white cleats. So we get a base check. One red batting glove. Stepping back off the plate.
Coughlin was an all-star last year and an all-star the year before with the New Jersey Titans. He's been an excellent player.
Just underneath the bat. Bat back up and partial step forward, ready for the bat. Just bouncing down barely. See if it's going to make it. It's just rolled over the line. Mike is, they're scrambling for it. Ethan Johnson, but he is going to be safe.
Ooh, they beat that Archer short game. They're short. The Archer short game is dynamic with Ethan Johnston and Kyle Bora, but he was able to slip that over the line, and Coughlin's got speed, and you know Coughlin's a competitive goal ball player as well, and so he's a year-round athlete. And
that was
so,
about maybe 3 inches past the line for play, the 40-foot line. That was just barely, and they had to scramble quite a way.
That's
They do.
a beat-
Joe Fleeks up.
Beat ball version of a bunt there, Rosina. 1-0. Bayou City Heat, 1 out, top of the first, just getting started.
Joe stepping back up just off the plate. Let's get his orange shoes. Fonzie. A little pop up, just barely past Ethan Johnson over Mark turning. It just went as he came forward. It went past his head. That's going to give Joe a run. Oh, and we're checking for another dead ball. I think he ran forward and then it stopped mid-air.
Thought I heard Mark Morris call the dead ball.
Yeah,
And we'll find out now.
We're checking.
So as much luck as we had in the first game that we did this morning with only going through a couple of balls, not so much so
bases
far.
and balls
Yeah.
already. This is only the first inning. It's called a dead ball.
Second one of the inning. But you know what? If that ball hadn't died, Mark Morris might have had a play on it as opposed to Tanner's, which was probably going to be a run anyway.
So head back up to the plate. He's being given the bat. Jason Price comes jogging up from far in the outfield.
So they've made Jason move a little bit here. He's had to go out there and check on balls twice now here in the top of the first. And Fleeks will come back and do it again. Joe Fleeks he did hit a home run earlier this year. He did that in the Indy tournament. In fact, he was the first player on any team in 2023 to hit a home run when he did it in Indianapolis. Bayou City came up to that tournament and took fourth.
Strong exhale there by Joe. And from Fonzie.
Fleeks was a member of the Heat's 2018 runner-up team in Eau Claire, Wisconsin when they made it all the way to the championship game and then upset the Thunder and forced a second championship game before the Thunder finally won.
Hard slammer. That is going to be a foul ball over on the third base side. That would have been, if it had been a fair ball, that would have been a possible contender for a home run, but it was foul.
He's got home run power, as you see. Big
I'm going to
guy.
guess that was somewhere between about 150 to 160 feet. Again, you know, it's possible it was a little bit further than that.
He got out in front of it and yanked it foul is what happened. So if he can wait back maybe just an extra split second, he can straighten that out and drive it somewhere.
It's 2 good solid hits for Joe, though, at this bit.
Yep, dead ball and foul ball, you know, that's tough. But Fonzie's finding
consistent.
it.
He's hitting it, and he's hitting it hard. Oh, line drive right down the center. Fonzie got to jump out of the way. It's gone past it. The Mark is running and running for that. Oh, Joe almost missed it. Caught it with his hand just barely as he went by. So he is going to get that run.
Well, that was a close call, but that's why you never give up on a ball, because if Joe had missed that, Mark Morris was in contention to make the play. Joe just got that base, man. Boy, they teach you to run straight through it.
Fingertips. He had it.
So 2 runs in and 1 out here in the top of the first inning, just getting going. 2-0, Bayou City Heat.
And Jacory coming up to bat. He's got some bright pink arm sleeves on.
As the wind kicks up again, it feels nice, but you don't want it to start affecting
Oh,
the
no,
players.
this is actually,
I called.
this is Johnny Cagle actually up to bat.
Okay.
They said they were on their way.
No, it's not. It's Jacory who
He
doesn't
must be
have
weighing
he doesn't have his uniforms because his
Okay.
same thing that happened to Atlanta and their bats.
Gotcha.
Airline lost
so
a man's
he is
uniforms.
wearing Johnny's.
Yep, that is Jacory.
I thought it was Jacory when he came up. Then I saw the number and I was like, oh, well, that's not the right number.
Nope, and I let you down, Rosina. I should have told you before the game that's what
Well,
happened.
they had that with in the Indianapolis tournament with the pitcher, Nathan Wigan. Kept saying it was Tracy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember. But this time I was told ahead of time that Jacory might be wearing somebody else's jersey because the airline lost
His luggage.
lost his luggage or misplaced it or something. And
I wish the Fucus ever went through 5 balls.
Really?
That was ball number 5. Waiting for, we've got the go-kart right here. Pretty bad to go through 5 in the first inning.
First 3 batters, in fact. Unbelievable. Tanner Gears was put out by Mark Morris, and then Mike Coughlin and Joe Fleeks have scored. If you're just tuning in, we got started late. You haven't missed much. We're in the top of the first. 2-0 Bayou City Heat. Archers are still waiting to bat.
Got an okay on the ball from the field. Couple tosses there. Oh, just high and on the inside of the bat. Almost up by his hands. Nice slam down on the ground, going into left. Ethan Johnson grabbing for it, and he has it, lifting it easily with one hand, just holding it.
Chances are, if you hit the ball on the ground anywhere near Ethan Johnston, he is going to make the play. And that was a ground ball. I mean, it was solidly hit, but it was on the ground from the beginning, and Ethan's going to pick that up. Number 21 makes the play. 2 outs, 2 in, top of the first. Bayou City Heat, and now Brandon Chesser, who won a championship or two world championships with the Austin Blackhawks back in 2014 and 2015, and just this year, finally, after all those years, almost 20 with Austin, went over to Bayou City, and I think they're happy to have him.
Checking first again.
He is a switch hitter, so I would be interested to know whether he's batting lefty or righty.
He's batting right at the moment.
Okay.
Couple slow little drags of the bat across the plate. Shoulder up. Slamming it over into right field. It's behind Cole, behind Dimitri Morrow. He is no challenge. He is there with minutes to spare.
Went opposite field, he did, and that was a solid smash.
That's all the way over on the field for the game behind us.
And once it gets by Kyle Bora, there's a little bit of room over there in right field. And he crushed it. And these balls, this field is running fast, so these balls are rolling and rolling and rolling, and they're not stopping. There's not much friction to get them to stop. So 3 in now and 2 out, still top of the first, and an important batter now for Gateway's defense. See if they can get Daryl Miner to end this inning and keep the top of the lineup from coming up again here.
Daryl coming up with some really strong practice swings over the plate there. Pulling some sound effects out there.
Daryl Miner was on that runner-up team in 2018. In fact, Daryl Miner has been around so long, he was a starter on the 2002 Houston Bombers team that won the World Series, Houston's only World Series championship. Daryl Miner was a huge part of that up in the Chicago area when the Houston Bombers, which they were called back then, basically just hit their way to the championship. They scored so many runs in that tournament, you lost track. So Daryl Miner's been around about 30 years, started in the 90s.
Ready for the pitch. That quick toss back into his glove before he pitches.
Now, back in his day, Daryl Miner hit a couple of home runs, too, and he was one of those, he could hit it so high and he was so fast, he could be at the base about the time the ball hit the ground.
High pop-up over and left, even swinging the bats over Ethan Johnston, just bouncing past Mark Morris. Another easy run.
That's Daryl's game right there, high and hard, like you saw, and he got to the base. He can still run well, man, even after all these years.
It's going to bring Tanner back up to start over the bat rotation as the ball finally makes its way up from far out in left field.
Fonzie looks like he's hitting a good part of bats. This could be a big inning here for Bayou City if Tanner can score here and keep this line moving. They've already got 4 in, and you know Gateway can score some too. But boy, you'd love to get out of this. You don't want to give up a huge fat number in the top of the first.
Now Archers definitely need to buckle down. Not much you can do when it's over your head, though. Oh, that was a nice swing. Almost stumbled over, but it tipped off and went behind.
3 of the 4 runs scored this inning have been on real hard hit balls. The exception was Mike Coghlan's, which he just rolled over the 40-foot line.
Oh, almost. Swinging too hard. He might hurt a leg injury there. He's trying to catch himself once he swings all the way around.
Tanner's got all the natural ability in the world, but he tends to get really amped up, and it's sometimes a little too much, I think, to his detriment.
He was able to slow his body up a little bit better that time as he pulled around. Slow one almost nailed Fonzie. It's on the ground though, but past right through Mark Morris's arm, scrambling to get. Oh, he's missed it. He is out. He missed. Oh, Tanner is so upset. He has picked up the base, thrown it down. He completely missed that base.
Oh,
went
man.
past almost a full 5 feet before turning around and coming back.
And, you know, that is the blessing and the curse of having a lot of speed is when you do miss a base and you're fast, it's hard to put the brakes on and come back to it. Tanner missed it by a mile, and by the time he came back, Mark Morris had made the play.
I thought he was going to have that, but just missed that base.
Oh,
and
boy.
Just, you can't recover from that.
Tanner snake bitten in 2 at-bats in that inning, once by a dead ball and then a great play by Mark Morris on the second try, this time by a missed base. So the Heat get 4, but it could have been worse for Gateway, really. And they come to bat at the bottom of the first, 4-0 Bayou City. Mark Morris will lead it off. And Kyle Bora and Rich Crussell and Chad Dillon and Ethan and Demetrius Morrow, and just the beat goes on and on and on. Let's see what Gateway can do now. It's going to take some runs to win this game. It's going to take more than 4, right?
Apparently there's been
The
questioning, checking all the players' masks. So
Yes.
there's been in question on the Heat side. So they're all lined up on the third base side as Jason goes through and checks everyone. I think we could obviously say Brandon was not at an advantageous in that one since he completely missed the base. So they are now starting to take the field.
Well, I think what they wanted them to check was on a Gateway defender or 2, right? To see if the masks were...
No, they were all
No,
checking
they were-
Heat. It was all Heat that was being
Okay,
checked.
so if you don't waive the blindfold check, they will check it as a matter of course for each team at the top and the bottom of the first inning. So if they didn't waive that requirement, then he just did that as a matter of procedure. That's probably why you saw that.
So we have a bat switch out here for Mark. Apparently he had incorrect bat, so they're going back to get his bat. Johnny Walker is not pitching this one currently. I believe this is Mike Curtis. I believe.
Mike Curtis pitching?
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, so Johnny Walker's not going to
The
pitch
last
this game?
game that when I saw them, this last game that they were in, I only saw the first 4.
Okay, so I've
They
got
swapped in and out.
Well, I've got some information. It sounds like Mike Curtis pitches to Mark Morris. He's sort of his personal pitcher.
Gotcha.
We'll
Got
see.
some sound-offs out there from the Heat in the field.
Yeah, we'll see if that holds up, but I expect that Mike will pitch to Mark Morris, and that's it. Then you'll see Johnny Walker. Here we go.
Mark bent at the knees, ready for the pitch. Slamming it over into right. Oh, it just went past
That's a run.
Joe Fleeks, and it's tumbling past Ja'Cory, so that is going to give Mark the first run for the Archers in this game.
1 pitch, 1 run, and Mark Morris, one of the fastest players in the league. If he gets it past the first line of defense on the ground, he's got a good chance of scoring there. That's what happened.
Got our catcher got hit in the leg, so he's trying to stretch off his for the Archers. He's sliding backwards. It looks like he can't bend his right leg. He's telling Jason Frazier to go catch. He's still sliding back, not even bending that leg at all. I did not quite catch, but he's not bending that knee at all. I don't know if it's the knee or the thigh right above it.
So Jason Frazier going to come in and catch now? He
is coming in to catch.
He is the do-it-all for you. Jason Frazier is the CEO of Mind's Eye, one of the Gateway's major sponsors. He was general manager of the Gateway team. He still sort of helps run that operation, and he is the newest member. Well, he's going to be the newest member of the NBBA Board of Directors, and he's been instrumental in bringing the World Series to St. Louis for the next 2 years. But right now, he has to step in an emergency situation and catch for Johnny Walker for the Gateway Archers.
Johnny Walker is back out at the pitcher's mound again now as Kyle Bora steps up to the plate with his flashy rainbow splatter-colored shoes. They're a black shoe that have colors blue, pink, purple, orange, yellow, green, of every color of the rainbow on there. Stepping over to talk with Fonzie for the Heat and also conferring with Johnny Walker.
Kyle Bora's had quite a colorful start to his career. He was the Rookie of the Year for the league in 2021. He was an All-Star last year.
Hey, Cass, you're good.
And so now he's in his third year. Maybe he'll be an MVP this year. Who knows?
So Cassie Nip is filling in for me here.
All right. And it looks like our tournament director, Cassie Nip, is going to fill in as our plate umpire as Jason Price is headed to another field. So we have our wonderful first vice president and tournament director, Cassie Hopkins of Tyler, Texas, who, if you've never worked with her before, she's just wonderful to work with on a tournament. Fantastic. And now she has to fill in as plate umpire. So Jason Frazier's filling in as catcher.
And Cassie is filling
And Cassie's filling in as plate umpire.
Have a little conferring going on with the rest of the Archers over here on our right. Well, this game has just been fraught with base issues, ball issues, wire issues.
It has been anything but routine so far, and after all of this, it's 4-1. Bayou City Heat, 1 out, bottom of the first. Gateway up to bat. Now they're going to call them off the field as we have to do more things. And so, let's see.
Yep, the Heat is still out on the field. They have not decided whether they're going to come in or not. Nope, they're stepping up. Kyle's coming back to the plate. Deciding going to deal with whatever issue is going on as Cassie comes on out. Check if they are ready in the field. So we will continue. Johnny out there at the mound. I call it a mound. It's more of a spray paint line.
More of a little, just a little mark. Takes their mark. In softball, they call it a pitcher's circle.
Oh, grounding drop over there on the left field. Mike rushes for that. Scrambling. He has got him.
He got him. Mike Coglin's another one.
That was Mike Coughlin.
Just like we mentioned, Ethan Johnson on the short left side
43, Mike Coughlin.
Of the Archers defense. Mike Coughlin on the short left side of the Bayou City Heat defense.
He's going to bring Rich Russell up to the plate in his flashy pink arm sleeves to go with it. The pink on his jersey. Oh, popping right up. It's going to roll back after hit about 8 feet in front of him.
So he's right on it. And Rich Russell was struggling for contact earlier in the year off of Johnny Walker. And it's going to be important for them to get that straightened out here at the World Series because Rich Russell is a vital part of the Gateway Archers batting order.
Ball was a little low under the bat.
He hit over 500 for the season last year. Made it to the All-Star Showcase. And
high pop-up right in center field, about 60 to 70 feet out. And Joe Fleeks, I believe, had that. That's number 11, Joe Fleeks with the putout.
Boy, so 2 back-to-back.
Beat him by about, it would have been another second and a half fast. faster, he would have made it.
Fleeks over in the center of that defense. So back-to-back putouts for Bayou City. And with 2 outs, the Archers still only with 1 run in the bottom of the first here.
Bringing Chad Dillon, left-handed hitter for the Archers, up to bat. And so much for my early prediction of Archers pulling out ahead.
Well, we've seen a couple of good plays on defense by both teams here, but yes, so far Bayou City's had the upper hand. They've hit the harder balls.
Oh, the ball just underneath the bat.
Dillon's got a hard swing, and he's a lefty. If he gets a hold of it, he can challenge what is if there is an Achilles heel of the Bayou City defense, it would be out there deep right.
Now, deep right, you've got Ja'Cory Wiley and Daryl Miner out there.
And, Ja'Cory's decent. Daryl Miner is not known necessarily for his defense. He's known for his slugging. I'm surprised Richie Flores isn't out there.
Richie Flores is out there
he
in
is.
center. Just bounced off Joe's legs. Now it's bounced off. Oh, there's it's going to be easily saved. It bounced off of Joe Flakes, then bounced off of Daryl Miner. Ja'Cory running for it, but just not making that in time.
So that's what we talked about, going hard into right field or right center in that case, and he did, and it worked for him. Second run on the board, 4-2 Bayou City Heat now with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. So I'm trying to figure out who the DH is then if Richie Flores is out there.
Yeah, he is out there.
Water on field
Center.
6, please. Water on field 6.
We've
So,
got.
I don't. You
Ethan
see
Johnson.
Tanner Gears out there then? Maybe not.
I
Water on field 6, please.
don't
Water
see
on field
Tanner. I
6.
see
All right.
Mike Coughlin. Then
So-
Brandon Chesser with Richie is in the center.
I don't
And
know.
already
Cassie
named
just
it.
told me to tell you that they needed
Oh,
water on
a low
6.
scooping swing by Ethan Johnson.
So it appears Flores is the DF for Tanner Gears.
Catching a nick on that ball as it rose back over by the camera. One of our cameras.
Ethan Johnston, longtime member of that excellent Colorado Storm team that Johnny Walker pitched for back in the day.
Very low scooping golf swing there. He's got some power if he can connect on that and get it up in the air. And that is going to be an out for Ethan Johnson, bringing the Heat back in with a 4-2 game.
So 1 inning in the books. Bayou City gets 4. The Archers get 2 back. And it'll be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for Bayou City coming up. Coughlin and Fleeks and Ja'Cory Wiley.
They had a very nice, strong lineup when we saw them earlier. There was not really a weakness on any of them. They all slammed into those balls and got the job done. It's just a matter of dead balls or having a short play, but they all did a good job earlier.
Sorry, is this bottom of the second or top of the plate? I mean, bottom of the first or top of the second?
Top of the second.
Thank you. Just catching up with where I'm at.
We have Archers making their way out to the field. This is going to bring Mike Coughlin up to bat for the Heat. Readjusting home plate here.
Because they need ice on field 10 for water.
We need ice on field 10 for water. Thank you. Ice on field 10.
So Coughlin scored his first time up on that little swinging bunt that was just over the 40-foot line.
Barely about like about 3 inches.
Ice on field 10.
Couple tosses there between the catcher and Fonzie. We got the call out in the field from the Archers that they are ready, so Johnny's leaving the field. Fonzie hopping up and down out there at the pitch. Doing a quick stretch. high pop up out into right, going at least 140 feet before coming down and bouncing. And he is slamming into the base at a light curve. Doesn't matter. They weren't even close to the ball. It was pretty close to the next field again.
2 for 2 for Mike Coughlin to go along with his put out. Bayou City picks up right where they left off in the first inning. They scored to open the second. It is now 5-2, Bayou City.
So Archers finally retrieved the ball from way out in right field. Fonzie's getting the ball out from about the second layer, and heading on back in is Joe Fleeks. Makes his way to the plate.
The Heat have come out swinging, no question about that. Of these 5 runs that have scored, 4 of them really were not much you can do about it balls. So this is not as much on the Archers defense as this is just a hot Fonzie Madrano and Heat offense.
They're just getting those balls up in the air and getting them out there in those far fields and giving them every advantage to get to that base in time. Got that base check.
Leaks almost missed one last time, but he got it.
Oh, ball a little low. Fonzie kind of hops and laughs. He knew it was off. Hard line drive over in the left. Mark Morris trying to line up for it, but he laid down and it went past his feet, and it's going to be another easy run for Joe Fleeks.
Another one that got through and back to Mark. Mark tried to get in position, was a little bit out of position. And it's 6-2 now. Nobody out in the top of the second. The Heat are feeling it.
Corey's coming up to bat. Martin tried to lay down to spread himself out there to catch that, but it was probably about 1.5 feet just past his feet. Just not quite catching it. And at that point, even getting up, Joe was already there at the base. Corey getting a couple practice swings in as he points at the bases to get his positioning set. Got a time for the sirens.
And not the St. Louis sirens either. This is one coming from some vehicle over there.
All the traffic behind us is all pulled over for the ambulance going past. Hope everybody is okay. Traffic starting back up and we're ready to play.
Go!
Barely catching that as it rolls off the top of the bat to the catcher. Corey got that bat just about hip height behind him. Just over the top of that ball.
Corey got himself a ring last year with the Indy Edge.
Oh, and this time the ball was a little high over the bat.
3 strikes on him now. Yeah, he went to the Edge for a few years, was on their championship team last year, and then came back to Houston. Back to the Heat where he began his career.
Making contact and slams down into left field easily. That's right to Ethan Johnson now. It's going to be an out.
Second put out of the game for Ethan over there on the left field side. That's the first out of the inning here in the bottom of the second. Top of the second. 6-2 Bayou City.
He's going to have Brandon Chester back at the plate. And you know he's going to be looking for a little bit of revenge since he missed that base. He's going to have to be paying a little more attention, listening for that base, and correcting his run.
Well, yeah, he banged that one too. His last time up.
It was an excellent hit. He just missed the base, and that opens the window of opportunity for the defense.
Yeah, and you want to be clean and mistake-free as possible now early in the tournament because that can really hurt you late in the tournament.
Oh, you could tell Fonzie almost, he was ducking. He thought that was coming straight for him. You could hear the air whooshing past the ball. Another one, line drive right over to the left, just past Ethan. Mark is lining himself up, though, and it's into... We're checking to see.
They're going to argue it. Fonzie says it was on his body. The archers say that he had him out. What's the story? Cassie's going to have to make a decision here.
Cassie's going down to check with the third baser. Third base judge. It's going to be a split-second thing there.
Tie goes to the fielder. If the umpire cannot determine on their own, then is she supposed to make the call as an out? Fonzie immediately was trying to sell his argument. The ball has to be off the ground, under control, and away from the body. The question here is, was it still on Mark's body or not? This is a big call. It's either the second out of the inning or the 7th run for Bayou City.
She's heading back over to third base ump to
And
check
she
from
has
their line of sight positioning.
She just took over for Jason Price here real quick, and all of a sudden now she's got to make a tough call right away. Boy, this has been a funky game, the first inning and few batters here. We've seen just about all of it.
Bats, bases, wires, dead balls, change of ump.
Close plays, yeah, we are. She's
She's
still.
walking, making her. Runner is safe. So that's going to give another run to the Heat for a 7-2 game.
And those can be demoralizing to the defense. You think you have the second out of the inning there, and Mark Morris made the play, but just didn't have it off of his body, according to Cassie.
It's going to bring Daryl Miner up to bat. We have Jason Price now is back, getting his information back from Cassie. Jason heading back out to home plate.
So Cassie had to make one bang-bang call, and now Jason's back. She can go back to being tournament director.
It's probably the wildest game with so many different instances happening up that I've ever watched.
My goodness, and we're only in the second inning.
I hope it's not a foretelling of what is to come.
Well, we might be here for a while. Rosina, you got dinner plans?
Not yet. Get Daryl with the bat up on the shoulder and ready for the pitch. Oh, hard scooping swing, just missing that.
Daryl hit that towering fly ball for a run the last time he was up. Remember the one that dropped behind Ethan?
Yeah, dropped right behind him. Oh, almost knocked out, but it's going to be a grounder there. Right in the center pass. Oh, they have him.
What's his number?
That is,
28.
28
that would have been.
is that Cruss?
That is Rich Crussell.
Rich Crussell, 28 on that put out. That's a big one, so that's 2 outs. Crussell's a good defender there, playing in that second line, second row of defense. So now they got to try to get Tanner again. Tanner's 0 for 2, and he's hit the ball hard twice. Once he was put out, well, he's hit the ball hard 3 times, actually.
3 times, but
Once
he
was
destroyed
dead.
the ball.
Once he destroyed the ball, once he was put out on a good play, and then the other time he destroyed his run by missing a base. So not for a lack of contact.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty adamant about getting that base. Swinging, rotating the bat up over the shoulder before he's ready. And leveling out. Pop up high into center, just barely to left. Past past Mark, he is safe.
Too much air on that one, and Tanner ran a good base that time. And when he puts that much air on it and runs a good base, you literally have about a second and a half as a defender to make the play once the ball hits the ground. Very difficult. 8 runs in now. They've matched their 4 runs from the first inning with 4 more here in the top of the second. And Gateway needs an out.
They need it desperately.
Now it's a 6-run game.
Tanner coming across the center of the field to give a hug with his pitcher Fonzie before heading off to his base bench.
And now Coughlin, who hasn't been retired yet here, he's 2 for 2. He's scored in each inning.
He's waiting patiently. He's a left-handed batter with his right hand behind his back with his red batting glove, just waiting for Fonzie to be ready. Just taking it easy. Got that base check. Fonzie a little impatient, stretching. Coughlin ready and crouched for the pitch. Oh, the ball was just over that by about 1.5 inches.
Fonzie telling him to stay there. He liked that swing. He just missed him over the top.
Oh, it's gonna pop right up over Mike's head and pop behind him to the catcher.
He's right on it. He just missed him again
Twisting
over
like
the top.
crazy.
But Fonzie likes that swing. He wants him to keep that same swing, man, and let Fonzie adjust, bring it down just a little bit, and try to get him to mash it somewhere here.
Oh, come all the way back, and it hit his right shoulder with the back of the bat.
That's called a lot of follow through.
Oh, he is going to be out. That is going to send the Heat out on defense with that 6-run lead.
So 4 in the first, 4 in the second for Bayou City, and the Gateway comes up in the bottom of the second, trailing 8-2. And they will have the 6, 1, and 2 in their batting order. So Demetrius Morrow leading off, and then up to the top of the lineup with Mark Morris and Kyle Bora. We'll get our first look in this game at Demo, NBBA board member and longtime Colorado Storm player, played on a couple of their third-place teams back in the day. Went and played a couple years with the San Antonio Jets, and now back to the Gateway Archers. Originally from the St. Louis area, lives in Minnesota now, but he's sort of playing for his hometown team. It's D. Morrow, and he's in the 6th spot in the lineup. He'll lead off this bottom of the second.
They're still finally making their way out to all their positions in the field, moving Ja'Cory over a little bit. Lee Rodriguez, coach there, and a couple people around just a little bit.
Leo Rodriguez, the coach for the Bayou City Heat, he was also on that 2002 World Championship team from the Houston Bombers. In fact, Leo Rodriguez had the run to win it in the bottom of the 6th when they beat Oklahoma City in the All or Nothing Championship. They had to play 2 that year. Now he's the coach of the Bayou City Heat, and Orlando Gonzalez is the coach of the Gateway Archers.
So Demo is up at home plate, and Johnny Morrow, Johnny Walker at the pitchers. We're still having a hold from Jason Price saying hold. Nice saying, wait, hold on. He's still trying to move some people that are in the batter's circle for Archers. Now they're ready to play. Powerhouse swing on that, but missing by about 2 inches.
Morrow is big and strong, and he has a hard swing, and he can really slug.
It's going to be another strike for Demo. It's going to be strike 3. It's a tough break for the Archers right now. They really need to put some runs on the board.
Well, Johnny Walker needs to focus. Right now, Fonzie's all over Bayou City's bats.
That is going to be a strikeout right there.
And as long as those two have been together, you're surprised a little bit that he didn't make any contact. That was straight strikes. And that's 1 out, and you're right, that's not what Gateway needs. They need to be putting balls in play because Bayou City seems to be putting everything in play just about.
So we have the switch again with Michael Curtis as Mark Morris comes up to bat.
Mark Morris scored one of the Archers' 2 runs his first time up.
Definitely looking to repeat that, help his team out.
Yeah, they need him. He's a spark plug for them, and they need a run here, down 6 with 1 out in the bottom of the second.
Bat up at the ready. Oh, it's going to be a strike by about 1.5 inches. Jason Frazier is still catching. Oh, he caught the pitcher in an elbow.
And
He
that
caught his pitcher.
got Mike Curtis. It was solidly hit. He couldn't get out of the way of that. Mike is undeterred and unhurt by that pitch, it seems like. It's a no pitch, so we'll go back to the same count.
Mark ready. High pop-up into center, about 100 and some feet high, but dropping right in front of Coughlin. But he's got to get to it. He's already hit the base.
Most players, Coughlin would have a play on that. He was positioned well, made a good play on the ball, but Mark Morris is just that fast. And he's 2 for 2 now, and the Archers needed that. It's 8-3, 1 out in the bottom of the second.
Kyle Bora coming back up to the plate with his flashy shoes. And again, our pitchers have swapped back out for Johnny Walker. A couple practice swings there to loosen up his arms by Kyle. For a base check. Johnny doing a lot of talking there with Kyle. Ball's just seems a little off on the pitches.
Yeah, they're getting some decent contact, but they're certainly not getting what Bayou City is.
Not that consistency that Bayou is. Just
Right.
repeatedly doing over and over.
Now, it is true, it's a run whether you hit it on your first swing or your fourth one if you score, but if you can hit the ball early in the count, if you've got a pitcher that's doing that, it can wear a defense out because they're not getting any time to take a breather and Bayou City's hit a lot of first and second balls. And the Archers have not. Second strikeout. Second of the inning now. That, again, man, you can't steal first or third base in this sport. So when you have fast base runners, you can't afford to strike them out. It's like giving a team a free outs, and you only have 18 of them to play with in a game. And Bayou City looks like they're relentless right now. The Archers need to figure this out.
So this is Rich Crussell back up at the plate, flexing fingers as he listens to the base check. Bouncing hit down the center. Rich runs madly for the base, but that is going to be out by Daryl Miner, I believe. Just laid his body down easily and scooped that up.
So only one run for the Gateway Archers in the bottom of the second. That is not what they needed. And the Heat will come to bat in the top of the third, up 8-3, and we're going to have a 5-minute water break here as they get one at the end of 2 and at the end of 4 innings. So we'll have a couple of minutes here.
It's also very rough on that defense when the Archers are seeming now that they are out in the field for extended periods of time, out in that heat, while the Bayou is getting them out quick enough that they're not out there very long. Then they get to return to their bench where only their batter is up out in the sun. So it's kind of giving them a double-edged rest. Not only the points, but they're getting more time to rest, energize, stay out of the heat, hydrate.
No question. The longer you spend under that tent and the less time you spend out in the heat, the fresher you're going to be. And if you're stuck out there playing defense while the other team's scoring runs, you're not under your tent getting freshened up. And so that can have an impact, especially when it's the third game of the day.
Yeah, they're all tired, but when you need to get out of the heat and you're stuck out there in that heat, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, you're just desperate to want it, but the more you're out there, the more hot and tired you are. It seems like it's more of a struggle mentally to go get that ball and to get it so you can get out. Back to your bench, get some water.
Right, so the game isn't out of hand yet, but if Bayou City can put up a big number here, they can really put a lot of pressure on Gateway as the home team to have to try to at least stay within range of them. And, you know, like you said, the game is 90% mental, as some have said it is. And so when you get down, you sort of lose that edge, and then the next thing you know, you're out of it. So this is really sort of a moment of truth inning, I think, here for Bayou City and for Gateway as the Heat lead 8-3. as we are getting ready to start the top of the third inning. And Bayou City will have Daryl Miner, I believe, leading it off.
And Archers, who were out there already for a long time, and we're going to have to head right back out again. They are getting this break now, but
I misspoke. Joe Fleeks will lead off. It'll be 3, 4, and 5. So Joe Fleeks, Ja'Cory Wiley, and Brandon Chesser, who have all been hitting well, will be the scheduled
The Heat
hitters.
is just doing marvelous on both the defense and the offense. They're getting the ball in the air. They're hitting it far out there. So, I mean, they're definitely running. They're not slacking, but it's almost as if they have the room not to. Not that you can ever say you can ever slack, but they're getting the job done to make it a little bit more of a sure thing of them getting to those bases, as long as they don't run past them.
Well, and Fonzie's on point, and on the defensive side of the ball, it's not, you expect it from Mike Coughlin. He's one of the best in the sport, but they've gotten contributions. Joe Fleeks has made a putout. I think we have Daryl Miner with a putout, so they're getting it from people other than the usual suspects, Coughlin and Richie Flores. They're getting defensive plays from all over the field, and so Bayou City can't be playing much better right now than they've played. I guess if you had to really nitpick, they've had a couple of missed bases and near misses on bases. So other than cleaning up the base running, it has been a pretty A-level performance for Bayou City, and it's translated into an 8-3 lead here after 2 innings of beat ball.
Very rocky start there for all of us involved with all the equipment issues, but definitely still an interesting game. I'm really interested to see how Archers are going to come out of this break. If they're going to come rejuvenated and ready to dig their teeth in, or if they're just so exhausted and tired that they just don't have it in them to try. We'll just have to see how this is going to go. One person doing a good hit and good run could boost their entire team's morale and change things around. So we'll just have to see what happens.
The Archers have to keep the energy level up too. They have become a little bit quieter on their sideline, and Bayou City has become a little bit more boisterous here as this game has gone on. Maybe an indication that Gateway feels the strain of having to play catch up here, but they've got to keep that energy level up because they've got a lot of players that are capable of scoring, and they can erase a deficit in a hurry if they can stay mentally in the fight, so to speak. Boy, I'll tell you what, it may be hot out here, but other than that, Norman, Oklahoma. This is the second time in the last few years that the state of Oklahoma has hosted a World Series. We were up in Tulsa in 2019, and we're here now. And there's a lot of beat baseball history in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma for years had the OKC Bombers that competed, and they finished as high as second one year at the World Series. And Midwest City, right down the road here, used to host an annual tournament in the summertime that would have 8 teams that would come, a lot of them from Texas, Chicago, a couple of the Kansas teams would come down, and they would play an 8-teamer. And now we're reviving beat baseball in Oklahoma, which is really the softball capital of the world. The College World Series is here for the women. Oklahoma, the Sooners have a dynasty in softball. If anybody's ever seen that team play, I remember watching the old Team USA Olympic softball teams with Lisa Fernandez and some of them. I believe this Oklahoma dynasty team they've got there in softball could have competed with even those Team USA teams. They're
It's a lot of high praise.
They're incredible. They're phenomenal, and that's why they've won 50 some odd straight games, and they've won the last 3 World Series, and they're basically doing to women's softball right now what the Indy Thunder were doing to the NBBA for about 6 years until the Edge took it last year, because of course the Thunder won 5 in a row and only lost a handful of games throughout that whole run. And then, Norman, Oklahoma, you got the University of Oklahoma, so it's a pretty happening night scene here. The hotels are nice. You got the National Weather Center and the Storm Prediction Center around here, and so if you're a storm buff like I am, this is a fun place to be. And they've really done a good job for us. Larry Heikkila, the mayor, was out yesterday and gave a speech at opening ceremonies. He's just so excited to have us here. Trent Brown and Visit Norman. Yeah, at this point you've got to hunker down and make some plays if you can. Now, Bayou City, most of their runs have come on balls that were not really the Gateway defense's fault. I mean, they're just high hit balls, and the balls are bouncing. They're rolling forever on this ground. But you got to make the plays you're supposed to make, and just hope that maybe the Heat cool off, no pun intended, because if they keep this up, they're going to be hard to catch.
Now, you can't just hope for the best. You got to dig in, play good ball. You got to hustle after that. There's been a couple. There's not much they can do when it's up over their heads. I mean, they can run for it and go for it, but they're going to know that they're not going to make it before the runner gets to the base. But there's a couple of those that have been like bouncing over knees. I've seen one of those where they just, that one could have made all the difference to boost their team and get them going in the right direction again. So they definitely need to get somebody that's going to take a little charge back there and put in a little extra effort, dig in a little harder. Even though they might think they might not make it, they're going to have to try and go for it and get it done.
And the right side of that defense, when they get chances, they need to make plays over there. Kyle Bora, Chad Dillon, Demetrius Morrow. We've seen plays out of Ethan. We've seen one out of Rich Crussell. We've seen plays out of Mark Morris. When the right side gets tested, they need to start picking up some balls too.
So we have archers headed back out to the field. The Zump has told them they need to get out on the field and we need to get ready to go.
Trying at least, it's hot.
And if anybody has any scores from any other games that they'd like to pass along and you know how to get a hold of us, please do. And we will give scores from time to time. I don't have any updates right now from any other games.
I haven't seen any yet.
Philly and Austin, Indy Thunder and the Chicago Comets among just a couple of the games that are going on right now.
I've not gotten any updates
We'll
myself
have
from any games.
We'll have 3 games tomorrow morning at 8:30. That will be play-in games to the double elimination, and then the full round of 16 gets going at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. That is Central Time. We will have one of those games.
We will be live streaming the 11:30 and the 2:30 game tomorrow. I'm not sure who those will be yet. Fonzie getting ready to head out, putting his hat and
I can't call
on.
it. We've got, because the brackets haven't been redrawn yet, and they won't be until this evening when the games are all complete from today. I have an idea, though, of which one we may be doing at 11:30 tomorrow morning.
We always called set. Will be Joe Fleeks up at bat. Tapping a little grounder out there. That's going to be foul on the third base side. Joe is about halfway down. He stopped, slowly meandering his way back to plate. Fonzie coming up to have a little discussion here. Check home plate, make sure it is straight. Jason Price has started to roll his sleeves up on his umpire shirt. Oh, it was a little bit of a early swing there.
And Fleeks is a pull hitter. When his power is going to be to left and left center. You don't want to be too far out in front of it, but I think that Fonzie is trying to pitch to his power.
Bouncing again, foul, almost an instant repeat. Trying and hitting the bottom base of base 3.
And he didn't want that one anyway. Fleeks' game is put the ball in the air.
And it's 2 little bouncy grounders he's had. He's slowly coming back, taking his time, resting. It's all time that the Archers are standing out there in the heat in the field. Fonzie adjusting home plate.
And we may be getting a score update in. I will give that to you in a moment.
And Joe taking a nice deep breath. Exhaling. Bright, flashy orange socks and shoes. Oh, it's a good hit, that one, but it rolled off the top of the bat.
The Jets are leading the Renegades comfortably in the third inning, and the Houston Hurricanes are shutting out the St. Louis Sirens, who I believe scored at least one run in that second game earlier today. We saw some cheering over there from the Sirens.
Again, another bouncy right on the left. Just past third base. Joe standing a little bit with hands on his hips, a little aggravated, and get a comeback for another redo. He's saying he's ready, getting a grip on that bat. Getting a wide stance and bat up over the shoulder. This one's going to be a little bit more of a popper to a line drive down there. Oh, Mark went past it. He's going to run back to line up, but he has it, and he is out.
Ooh, did he miss that base? That seemed like an awfully long base run there, and Morris had time to recover.
He was just running a little bit slower. I think he was just, he'd already run 3 times, and started on. I don't think he had his heart in that run.
Boy, Mark Morris is making an impact, though, out there in the outfield. That's his second or third putout. Well, he had one that they had on that close play that they called, the ruled was safe. He had one on, for sure, on Tanner Gears. And he had one there.
That was Tanner strictly running, overrunning.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, but, having a solid deep left fielder at the World Series can really come in handy. You saw it a couple of years ago with Miguel Tello and what he did for the Thunder late in the week when he just broke the Jets' heart.
He was scooping everything.
Yeah, and so a left fielder like that can really make a difference. Lupe Perez has been that in past years sometimes. So
We got Corey Wiley up to bat. It's going to be another foul ball out to the third. This time it was a line drive instead of a grounder like Joe's. Hitting the same area. Fonzie rubbing off the ball on the grass a little bit. Oh, is this one? That is also going to be foul. This one ran along the line.
boy,
Almost all the way to third base.
if that had stayed fair, that would have been an ideal beat ball.
Mark was already over there on top of it.
But, that ball, when they pull it like that, that ball was going to be, Mark was getting over there, but that ball was going to be curving as it made it out to him if it had stayed fair, as it was. And the baseline, the bases and the base lines are 10 feet off the foul line in beat ball, and that's for safety. That's to give a little buffer zone so that you don't have fielders and base runners coming together. So it may be a little bit deceptive when you see a ball and you think, well, that wasn't even close to the baseline. But remember, the foul lines are 10 feet inside of the baseline, as it was foul ball.
Pop up right over Ethan as he jumped up, but Mark had the ball, but he hadn't got it pulled up before he hit safe.
Oh, man. It has to be off the ground, and boy, there's bang plays, and that's what happens at the World Series. Now, Mark has lost out on a close call once because they said it was on his body, and this time because it wasn't up.
This is bringing Brandon Chesser up to the plate, standing patiently.
So that is the 9th run now, 9-3, Bayou City Heat, top of the third, one out.
Now Fonzie doing his traditional hop, stretching to the toes. rubbing the glove on his chin. Pop down. Fonzie almost
This
got
play's
it.
gotta be
Went over
made.
to, went past Ethan Johnson. He's got to make the base. He's got it.
Oh my. That play's got to be made. That ball's got to be handled. And if Ethan misses it, then Richie Krussel's got to come up and be in his pocket. That ball cannot get through in a game like this.
It actually bounced forward off of Ethan, so it didn't go behind him. So it came forward off of him. And Brandon kind of ran a little wide on that. He didn't go past it, but he ran wide, had to curve back around. But he got it before Ethan could get back to the ball.
It was a deflected ball, so not really Krussel. The only one, I guess, who could have come over and helped maybe would have been Kyle Bora, but that was really...
Nah, Ethan would have just had to come back.
That's
up
an
for that
Ethan
one.
recovery, and sometimes that happens, man. You're right where you're supposed to be. The ball bangs off of you, and it bounces or rolls away a little bit. But that's tough because that's a ground ball, and that's, you know, the plays that you're supposed to make. You got to make it. It's 10-3 now. Still only
Daryl
one
Minor
out.
at bat.
And Daryl's been putting the ball in the air. He hasn't been hitting it on the ground so far.
Looks like he's ready for another. Pop up high, center field, dropping just behind
Just
the
landed.
first lamp.
Oh, good play!
Oh, let's see. We got the baseman said safe, umpire said out. Let's see what they're.
What's the story here? That was in the air for a while. I heard when it
What
landed.
number is he? Thank you.
94. Is that Dylan? I think that's...
That's a different number.
Kyle Bora. I'm sorry. Kyle Bora is 94 up there.
Okay.
I guess they're saying out.
Well, that's a close play there. Well, the
There's a
first...
huddle back out with the Archers on the field. They're all huddled up out in the field. Tanner's running down towards first base, doing a practice run with the bat in his hand.
The first close call went the Archers' way, so maybe this one will go... I'm sorry, went the Heat's way. Maybe this one will go the Archers' way. I don't know. I couldn't tell. The call on the field was out.
They went ahead and called it out,
Yep. So that's the second out of the inning.
bringing Tanner back up to the plate. So after their little hoedown huddle and having that out, see if the Archers get a little more hustle in our defense.
Tanner Gear's 1 for 3, but it's been about the loudest 1 for 3 you can imagine. He scored his last time up. He killed a ball and was subsequently put out on the play after that in the first inning. And he missed a base to end the first inning before scoring one last inning. He's had a lot of varying experiences here in the first few innings of this game. Top of the third. And a 10-3 game. 2 outs.
Pop up high out into center. Just barely in the left, bouncing more to center. Mark running for it, still running. And it is out of here.
That was an easy run for Tanner and a well-struck ball. He got the air on it he wanted to. He gave a nice grunt as he hit it because he knew he liked the way it felt off his bat. And he's fired up now, and it's 11-3.
Bringing Coughlin to the plate. Still
Coughlin.
getting the ball back up from out in the field. Mark was running a dead-out run after that ball. There was just no catching it.
Coughlin's hot. He's 2 for 3, although he did strike out to end the second his last time up. Now he comes out up with 2 outs in the third. So the Archers need an out to get out of this. The Heat have scored 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 3 so far in the third. Archers got 2 in the first and only 1 in the second.
Just as an update, the Archers catcher is up and moving around now and walking. So he's not still sitting. Coughlin is a left-handed batter. Inching forward. Oh, ball a little bit on the inside there, but it was the right height.
I think he wants him to take it to right field. Let's see here. Kyle on a lefty.
Oh, taking it that time. Fonzie definitely hopping up and down. Very excited at just about where they want it. And it is going far to right, but I think that's going to be foul.
Ooh, right idea, wrong direction. He was a little bit too out in front of it. Pulled it foul.
Just by about a foot and a half.
Yeah, big spot here now. 3 strikes and 2 outs, and Gateway needing to finish this inning off and get back under the 10.
11-3 is not where they want to be right now.
Oh, I would say not. Philadelphia Fire 14, Austin Blackhawks 3 in the 4th inning. There's an update for you. That is in the 7 versus 4 game from Bracket D. Philly Fire look awfully good. They were a team, we were talking earlier about teams to watch at this World Series. Philly Fire look awfully good.
High little short pop up into right. He is going to be safe there, not just not getting that ball. They've got Caleb Wright out there in that short spot now and just didn't quite pick that up. Bringing Joe Fleeks to the plate for the Heat, adding another run to spread that 12-13 run lead that the Heat has on the Archers. Fonzie shaking his head, hopping a little. Strong huff as Joe Fleeks puts foot out front, ready for the pitch. Pop down the little grounder over foul to the left like he did repeatedly the last time he was up at bat.
Got an update for you when we get a chance between pitches.
Joe bringing the bat up. High pop up out into left. It was a hard thunk of a hit, but it's landing right in front of Mark. It's a matter of can he get to it.
Nope.
It looks like Jason called him safe.
He did. He called him safe out there, and boy, Mark is getting worked out in left field, and he's getting right there on a lot of these, but just not quite in time.
Second.
They're beating them out, and he's got to be frustrated. He's got to feel a little bit like Charlie Brown out there right now. He's just getting so close to him and can't
That
quite
was a
get him.
thunk of a hit Joe had. Nice air time. Definitely got him to the base.
I have an update. This is unofficial, but I am told there have been 3 home runs so far today. In addition to David Smith's home run, I'm being told Dustin Youngren of the Chicago Comets hit a home run. That'll make him happy.
That will make White Lightning very
And
happy.
guess who? The third one was.
Would it be a Justin Holland by any
Whoa, I'll
chance?
give you one more guess. Who's another big home run bopper you've called before on your broadcast? Mr. Corey White hit one for the
Corey
Indy
White.
Edge today. Good guess on Howland, though. Same team, same concept. Somebody also tried to
Wouldn't
tell
have
me
been
that
surprised.
the Houston Bombers were the Bayou City Heat in 2002 when they won their championship. No, sorry, Neil McDonald. They were the Houston Bombers in 2002 under Chuck Boudreau.
Fonzie doing a hop. Corey with his bright pink arm sleeves.
Here we go.
It's repeating over there foul on the third base side. Just doing these little line drives and grounders right out there just outside of third base. You could tell as soon as he hit it, he didn't even run. He just swung, hung on the bat, turned around.
They need to get this last out. Easier said than done, but
Almost a little high over the bat. This one, I think he might keep. No, it's going to be foul at the last minute. Much closer to riding the line. This time, Corey had run 3/4 of the way, so he's taking his time to come back, kind of laughing. He's asking for a little up. Got the bat.
this is the third inning in a row the Archers have spent a significant amount of time out there
in
on
that
blistering sun.
Just standing. And then scrambling. And it's going to be the third strike.
And Fonzie thought he had that one too. Fonzie was happy about that pitch until Coughlin seemingly swung right through it.
Corey.
I'm sorry, Corey.
Oh, watch out. It's right up on their tents, rolled off the back.
This is Ja'Cory Wiley, the fourth spot in the lineup up to bat. This has been another long inning. I have 13 on the board now for Bayou City. It's a 10-run lead. This has been a 5-run inning here. And a lot of this with 2 outs.
It's going to be another foul right there along, right outside of third base again. And Brandon from the batter's box singing "Stand Alive" for Ja'Cory.
Yeah, the Heat are into it. They know that they've got the Archers sort of where they want them right now. In the
They
top
just
of the
want to
third.
keep doing a repeat every inning.
Well, they've been pretty consistent so far. 4, 4, and 5.
Oh, this one almost hit Fonzie going over into left field, bouncing past Ethan Johnson. Mark going to, bounced off his chest, and he's going to be safe. That has got to hurt. Bounced right off it. He laid down correctly, but it was just coming in with enough force.
He is doing everything he can in left field, and those balls are caroming off him, by him, bouncing over his legs. He's getting them, but just not in time or not getting them up off the ground. And Bayou City is just relentlessly hitting to left field over there. Other than Coughlin and Brandon Chesser went opposite field with one, they've all been hitting the left field.
Just tearing him up. He's got to be exhausted out there, standing, chasing, standing in the heat. And Brandon up at home plate. Brandon Chesser.
He scored 2 of their 3 runs, too, has Mark Morris.
He
So,
has.
boy, and it is 14-3 now. Bayou City.
Oh, slammed. Almost hit Fonzie in the face.
Boy.
Right in the center. Dropped right past the second line. That would be Kyle Boro, I believe. I think with the put out.
94?
Kyle Bora. Yeah, Kyle Bora.
94, Barra gets another putout. So he
Yeah, they have moved him into the center from the front right, and they now have Caleb Wright was out there in the front right there. The Archers had on defense. So Archers coming to make their way in to the bench, desperate to get some runs up on the board. I mean, there's at this point it's 11 runs. They're so close to the 12-run rule. If the Bayou holds, if the Heat holds them here, this could be a really different game in the next inning.
Very, very tough if Gateway can't make some noise here in the bottom of the third. And they will have
They've got their work cut out for them.
Bottom of their batting order, the bottom half of it anyway, with Dillon and Johnston and Morrow. Well, I may have misspoke. Who did Caleb Wright come in for? Caleb may be in that lineup somewhere here.
I'm not sure who he came
He
in for,
replaced-
but I know he was in Kyle Bora's space, but Carl was still out there in defense. They had just moved him over to center.
Right.
Oh, well, a little bit early on the swing there. Johnny with his full face blue helmet that he's wearing for protection. Oh, just barely under the bat. You see definitely what a hit to the face can do, what it did to Jared. He had to have his jaw wired.
Boy, that happened in a local tournament last year in Indianapolis in a placement game. He took one off the bat of Adam Rodenbeck. Had to have a little bit of surgery to fix his jaw.
Oh, just barely below. Nicely the outside portion of the bat, but just underneath.
3 strikes.
Making connection, going past the 40-foot line. It's just inside in the first base. Joe running over there to gobble it up, but he's oh, he did get it. He got him out. He was stumbling, crawling around on his knees to get it and held it up.
I wasn't sure what they were going to, because for a minute there, Gateway acted like they had scored there, but I guess that is an out.
They had it up with one hand. He had his back to us, so I was a little unsure of whether he did, but it did. He had it with the one hand. It was up.
So 1 out, and again, you're seeing ground balls from Gateway, where you're seeing fly balls from the Heat.
Now we got Ethan Johnston up to bat. Painful out for the Archers. Oh, low scooping. The ball was a little on the inside, above the ankles. He does have a very low scoopy swing.
Ethan Johnson was the defensive MVP of the NBBA back in 2009 in Stockton, California.
Right out, line driver into center, past Coughlin. Richie Flores with it, and that is out.
They're all doing it for Bayou City now, all over the field. I think that's the 4th player, different player, that's made a putout for Bayou City.
It went right past Coughlin's hands, and Richie was right there to snag that up.
2 up, 2 down, and Bayou City is on the verge of giving the Gateway Archers a goose egg here.
This is Demetrius Morrow up to bat, and they desperately need this run, DB.
They
is demoralizing for them.
This would be demoralizing.
Not a single run.
And you know, you've got speedsters up after Demetrius, so it is, you know, no pressure, Demo, but it's all on you right now out of the 6th spot. They could use a run in the worst way. They gave up 5 in the top half of this inning. They can't afford to take a 0 here.
Oh, hard swing.
Ground ball, that's not going to
right
get it
in
done.
the center. Can he get it? Control.
You got him.
Daryl Meyer had it. He had it at his knees, but it looks like he got it in there. That is rough for the Archers.
That
Coming out of that with not a single run, putting the Heat up to bat when they are already 11 runs ahead. This is a very rough position to be in.
That is a 3 up, 3 down inning, 3 putouts by 3 different players for the Bayou City Heat, and they have an 11 run lead, 14-3, halfway through the game. And you know, we had selected this game because we thought it was going to be the most competitive game on the board, and it still may turn out to be. But through the first 3 innings of the game, this has been a dominating performance by the Bayou City Heat. They have led from wire to wire so far.
It's been heat, heat, heat everywhere you turn. Archers going back out onto the field again. It is hot out there. They are not in a hurry. Slowly making their way. Does not look like they really want to be out there.
And that is part of the problem. Again, half of the battle is keeping your head up and keeping your head in the game. And when you've got a team hitting as well as Bayou City is right now, if your defense goes out there acting like they don't want to be there, they're liable to get, you know, balls just hit right through them, over them, past them.
Got Johnny standing out in far left with Mike Morris, had his arm around his shoulder. Mark is doing everything he can. There's a lot that he, time-wise, it's just not possible to get that in time.
Welcome to the world of a left fielder in a World Series game. A lot of times you do everything right, you do everything you can to make a play, and they still beat it out just because you're standing out there 130, 140 feet away from home plate, and you've got fast base runners. So, you know, he's doing what he can. This isn't on Mark Morris. This is on the Bayou City Heat
Being
and Fonzie.
consistent repeatedly over and over. It's not an occasional hitter. They're all doing it. They're getting that air time. Every single hitter is getting the job done.
That's correct.
That's more spray paint out at home plate, lining that up. Fonzie wants a stronger mark there to set his players up and adjust their feet so he knows they're in correct positioning. Doesn't want to take a chance on letting go what they're doing right. This is a new batter. Oh no, this is Daryl just took his headband off. Oh, Fonzie ducking. He was sure he was going to get hit in the head. Feet together, ready for that pitch. Oh, hard pop up over into left, past Ethan. He's running with his hand outstretched, but not Mark. Oh, again, same thing. By the time Mark got his body down in there in front of it and got a hold of the ball, it was too late. He was already on the base.
Yep.
Daryl is definitely not a slouch out there running to the base.
If I was Gateway, I would almost pull somebody over toward that left field line
To
in
help
that
Mark out.
middle gap between Ethan and Mark Morris, because Bayou City is consistently pounding left center field. I would almost shift and take one of those players either from right field or move. Who is that came in for Crussell there, who's playing in the middle now?
That was Caleb Brown.
Move somebody over to plug that gap, because what you're getting is balls that are too far for Ethan, but by the time that Morris gets to them, the runner's at the base, and so they're hitting that gap, and they are just pounding that gap. 15-3 now, top of the lineup. Here comes Tanner.
Who got the last outs from, or who should be up to that?
Who should be up? Daryl.
Okay. And so
So Brandon got the last out last night?
Yeah,
I showed that Jacory got the last out.
I showed Brandon got the last out.
How many runs did you have for them that third inning?
I had 5 for him in that third inning.
That's what I've got.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry. You know what?
No, I got 4.
Well, we're going to have to figure this out.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Yeah.
I got a long-winded score update that I checked on, and I may have missed one. We are positioned for this broadcast
So
at the
I showed,
scorers
that
table,
Joe
so
was
you're going to
first,
hear
and he got put
everything
out.
we hear come
And
over the
then Jacory
microphone
and
as we
Brandon
figure
got
this
2
out.
runs. And then Daryl got it put out. And then Tanner got a run. Mike got a run. And then Joe got another run. And then Jacory got put out by number 94. Is that not right? No, you don't change yours. I'm just asking.
Jacory, I think, was safe.
Jacory scored.
Jacory scored?
Yeah,
That's how we got to 14.
yeah, Jacory.
So it was actually
And
4,
then
4, and
Brandon
6.
got put out. Okay.
Yeah. So it was 4, 4, and 6. That's how we got to 14-3.
So they have 14?
Now they have 15.
But yeah, they had
Shut
14.
up, David. I'm not talking to you. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So you guys heard some behind-the-scenes stuff as we try to balance the score sheet here. Now tomorrow we're going to hope to have a tent that's separate from the immediate
table.
scorers table, so that you guys don't have, because it can get a little heated over here, frankly, sometimes. But we figured this one out.
So we have Tanner up,
So
doing a couple little runs out toward the pitcher and then back to home plate.
Yes, it
If-
is.
So 15-3 is confirmed as the score. Nobody out, top of the 4th. Tanner
So
Gears
this is
up
where
to
we're
bat.
getting close to our 12 run.
Right. The Archers will still, of course, get their at-bats in the bottom of the fourth before that rule can take effect. But the more runs Bayou City scores now in the top of the fourth, the more chips they can put, nuts they can stash away, if you will, for winner, so that Gateway will they'll have to
They'll have
score
much more to
just to
recoup.
get out of the 12. Right, just to get it back to 12. Let alone come back into this. This is at this point, this is a blowout.
Almost a runaway. Tanner tying his shoes there. Took a few minutes. Back up at the plate. Fonzie hopping there. Base check. Tanner pulling it back up to the shoulders.
After a tough start, Tanner scored his last couple times up at the plate.
Popping hard grounder that bounced off just a few feet. Going up center. Mark over there just getting. Oh, but he's already at the base. Just as again, same thing almost. Mark scooping it up, but it's just not fast enough.
Yeah. Picking up ground balls for Mark Morris is going to be, that's just not, he's out in left field. So by the time it rolls out to him, Tanner's going to be, even if he's perfectly clean with it, Tanner's going to be at the base every time. And it is 16-3. And that time it was more of the middle that got pounded.
Yeah, Mark ran over there from his side over toward the middle side of left field. But got Mike Coughlin up to bat. Lefty. Oh, catching a little on the inside, but it's going all the way far to right. And you got that Caleb Wright over there struggling for that, crawling for that. But that's an easy run for Mike Coughlin.
And Caleb Wright is a rookie, so he's just learning the defensive game. He's an excellent rookie. He can really hammer the ball, but you know, he's still learning the defensive side of it. That's the right place for Bayou City to hit it. And boy, now it is 17-3.
That's bringing Joe Fleeks back up to bat.
Still nobody out. 3 in a row to start the top of the fourth for a Bayou City Heat team, which right now is hitting on all cylinders.
Fonzie holding the ball up so the fielders can hear it after a call that they can't hear it.
They've been playing with it for a while. At this point, I would say it's probably reasonable if they were to ask for a new one.
Difficulty putting the plug in. It's probably been smashed on the inside a little bit.
You know, if you can't get it to stop beeping, you just have to chuck the ball far enough from the field of play that the players won't be able to hear it, and then just let it beep itself out in the grass.
Jason Price still trying to insert the stem, pulling it up. There's some fluff coming out.
Well, if he has to, he can just rip out the mechanism from the inside and take one of those black maxes to it, and then it'll stop beeping, I suppose. Of course, then you're not going to be
Take the
able
ball
to.
farther away from the field here. Oh, he's got it in.
Yeah, it's like I mean, right? Just chuck it in the weeds or
Just
something.
needed a different pair of hands on it.
It's a ball, shorty. You can't keep using new ball.
A couple quick tosses there between Fonzie and LJ.
And while Fonzie takes his warm-up pitches with this new ball that Gateway requested, Gateway's just standing out there baking in the sun a little bit more.
Mark's moving around a little bit, trying to stay mobile out there. Now he's more still waiting for this pitch as Joe winds up.
Go! All right. Just like that, baby. Just like that, baby.
Chuckling there, a little bit more at ease for the Heat team. They're not having to stress quite so much over their plays.
Go!
High pop up over into left again, right behind Ethan, and it's just a matter of can Mark go over there and scoop it up, fumble over as he's going to safe again.
You know, they've scored about 10 runs to that part of the field today. They're just those tweeners that get over Ethan, and just that Mark doesn't have time to handle them.
They do have Kyle over there in the center, and he's trying to run over there to back him up, but it's not that they're going past Mark, most of them. It's just a timing. By the time they do come down and are on the ground for him to get, they're already there.
Which is why I would have Kyle Bora over there in about a 3 or a 4, right between Mark and.
He's almost dead center.
I would bunch that left side right now. If they beat you up the middle or the right field, so be it. But right now they've scored literally probably about 10 or 11 of their runs right to that same part of left field.
We got Jacory up at the bat.
And there's still nobody out. It's 18-3, and this is really starting to get out of hand now.
Oh, nice little grounding tap over into left.
Ethan.
Oh, just barely past Ethan's outstretched hands. That's not going to get the job. He's completely dismembered first base over there.
There's nobody there if that goes down the line like that on the ground and gets past Ethan. There's nobody that's going to be able to come up and make the play. Ethan's either got to go back if he has time, or it's going to be a run like it just was there. It is now 19-3. That is 5 in a row that have scored with nobody out.
Got a timeout.
And timeout Gateway.
Archers. They're out there on the field huddling.
They needed it. 5 straight to open up the inning. Already down by 11. Now down by 16. Nobody out. Brandon Chester coming back up. Chester has been hammering the ball, and all 5 hitters that have come to bat in this inning have scored for the Bayou City Heat, who are just percolating right now.
Almost like they're out here just having a good old heyday of a practice out here, just coming up, having fun, relaxed. Archers are struggling out in the field.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel right now. It just is like taking batting practice. The ball probably sounds as big as a beach ball to these hitters because Fonzie's just been putting it on point all game long. They're getting air under the ball. They're taking Ethan Johnston to a certain extent out of the game by hitting the ball just beyond him.
Past him.
And they haven't hit much to Kyle Bora either, who's the other top defender. Rich Crussell, who's their 3rd top defender, is out of the game. And Mark Morris has been doing everything he possibly can out there and just coming up a little bit short, a little bit late on these balls. And the result is a 19-3 Gateway lead, Bayou City lead.
Heat lead.
Gateway deficit. Nobody out in the 4th.
A total runaway of a game at this point.
At this point. All right, it starts with the first out. If you're the Gateway defense, now you have to think of it in terms of ones, 1 out at a time. Try to get out of this inning. Then 1 run at a time to try to get out of the run rule.
Brandon Chester up at the plate. Hard over into right field. Finally, Demetrius Morrow running massively after that ball. It was not good. Again, Brandon just right on, did not detour from his line to third base. It was right past Demo. It was just a matter of hustle.
Well, Rosina, that defensive timeout didn't break Fonzie's stride one bit, as the very first pitch, Brandon goes opposite field, scores on that one easily. 20 runs now on the board. In 29 batters in this game, they've scored 20 runs. Still nobody out in the top of the 4th inning. It is a 17-run Heat lead.
We have Daryl up to bat. Desperate for the Archers just to even be able to come back to their bench to get out of the heat. Pulling that bat up to the shoulder. Every single time, Fonzie is terrified he is going to get slammed by that ball. He's ducking out of the way. That's how close he knows that he is on. Oh, almost went grounder out into center, just barely to the right. It's just they're not even going for it. I think there's going to be a investigation for dead ball. They didn't even try to go for that.
Yeah, a lot of
Jason
times when you
making
see
his
they're
way.
not moving much, it's because they didn't hear the ball. So they'll have to go and they'll check that with the base on. They'll go and stand over it, and that's what they're doing. First base has come on.
First base is on.
Jason's
Jason is
going out.
making his way. And Corey bringing Daryl back up to home plate. See what the outcome is going to be.
If this score holds up, and if the Hurricanes score holds up, you will see tomorrow at 11:30 in the 5-12 game a Houston versus Houston matchup with the Heat and the Hurricanes. What an interesting rivalry game that could be. Looking ahead a little bit, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if this score holds up and they get the 5, the Houston Hurricanes look like they're going to be the 12 based on today's results, and that would be your matchup in the 5-12 game. It's looking real good for Boston and Chicago in the 8-9 game, and I don't want to give anything away, but that could very well be our 11:30 game tomorrow morning if that's what materializes. How about a JT
Bill
Herzog
two
versus
needs more
Rob
balls, please.
Weissman
Bill
pitching
two needs more
coaching
balls.
matchup? You talk about two of the legendary longest tenured coaches, so that could be an interesting matchup tomorrow.
So that is a dead ball. We have Daryl coming back to home plate. Got a new ball. We had to call in for some more. We're going through balls like crazy here on field 2.
In this game we are. The first game this morning, not so bad. We went through about maybe 3 or 4. This game here, we've
We're
got
almost on like 9 or 10 at this point.
we've gone through a whole case just about here this afternoon, and we are in the 4th inning of what will probably be, by the time it ends, the last game going on any of these fields, because it was one of the last ones to get going.
Started.
And it has not been exactly moving at a fast pace. And if you've ever seen the Bayou City Heat, they tend to play a slower paced game. Now, I will say they've picked it up some from what it used to be when you would see 4.5 hour games. But still, they take their time and do what they need to do, and it's been very effective today for Bayou City. 20-3.
Slip on the ball there at the pitcher.
False start by Fonzie. In football, that would have cost him 5 yards, but here he'd get another chance. He didn't throw the pitch. Well, here we go.
Oh, just barely getting it past the 40. Ethan's running up there over on the left. Oh, but he knocked it past his body. It's out past his... You can't have those kinds
That's
of
a
things.
fatigue play there. Ethan Johnston is better than that. He knows he's better than that. That's got to be a fatigue play. That's a charge and pickup ball that he's done that probably. He could do that in his sleep, and that's the one time out of 10 that he flubbed one. That's an error, and
It is an error, but it's a costly
It's-
one right now, and it's when it really matters.
21-3, and it's just compounding. Things have gone from bad to worse here in this game. Still nobody out by my count. With 7 runs now in, they got to get an out before they can worry about anything else.
Looks like Daryl is stopping at the Archer's tent, maybe for some water. Feeling the heat exhaustion after running to first base. Didn't think he could quite make it. Just bringing Tanner up to the home plate. Oh, a hard grounder over to left. He kicked it with his feet. It doesn't matter who is over there in left field. It was Kyle Bora had been moved over into Ethan Johnston, slid his body to put his body in front of it, kicked the ball with his feet, shot it far out behind third base.
Everything bad that can happen to the Gateway Archers right now is that's another world-class defender, Kyle Bora, who got there and just kicked it. Ethan Johnston and then Kyle Bora, and this is one of those games, they're just going to have to shake this one off if possible.
Yeah, they've swapped Ethan over to center and moved Kyle up to short left, and it's just not in their play today.
Everybody starts with a clean slate tomorrow for the double eliminations. This is all for placement and seeding here going into that tournament, and Gateway's just going to have to remember this because this is a nightmare going on right now here.
This is Mike Coughlin, left-handed for the Heat. Oh, knocking it down on the ground, short over into right, over to that Caleb Wright, just past him. Oh, I believe he's going to be called out. That was, Caleb missed it, and it looks like that was, that was Chad.
Chad Dillon backed him up. But boy, when Kyle Bora was playing there, that would have been an easy ground ball to Kyle Bora. But they moved Kyle, and they had the rookie there, and that almost was a run. So really, St. Louis, Gateway's got to feel like they're dadgummed if they do and dadgummed if they don't. As now, finally they hit a ball over to the right side after Gateway moves its top defenders over to the left.
We've got 2 hits now over to the right, the one out past Demo. And then now short with Caleb. He's bringing Joe Fleeks back up to the plate.
Well, at least we've got an out now here in this inning. I have 22 runs on the board.
That's what I'm showing, 22-3.
8 runs in the inning before that out was recorded.
Hard popper wide. Just going to be fair pass. Oh, Kyle's going to have to come up. Kyle Bora up a little bit more, and it's too late. Joe is at the base. There's usually much more hustle there. That's just a demorale. They're not in the game.
They're dragging.
Point.
It's their 3rd game. They played a long one against Atlanta that was probably longer than it should have been. And then, to have this happen to them against Bayou City on the game of the day in a game they were looking forward, sort of a prove themselves type game because they got a 5 seed. Bayou City got the 6 seed, and that was pretty debated whether or not that was right. And Gateway wanted to come out and really prove that they were worthy of that high seed. And not all through their own fault, but boy, this has not been their game at all.
Definitely. At this point, it's just a slow ticking time bomb. Corey hitting it up high and right over to third base. Foul. Corey coming back to the plate. Fonzie's got to feel good. He just has to be able to repeat this through tomorrow.
Yep. The consistency is the key for Bayou City. If they play at this level, they can beat any team here.
Oh, nice hit by Ja'Cory. It's right over to Kyle. Kind of bounced behind him, so now can Mark scoop it up, bounced off his shoulder. Oh, he missed the base. He's come back. Mark has got it this time. Ja'Cory missed the base.
Only because of the missed base, because they were playing pinball.
Check. We're going to check. We'll
find out
if he did miss it or if his fingers caught it.
They were playing pinball with that thing over there in left field, man, and Mark got it, but
I think he's going to have had him out. I think he missed it.
I think he missed that base. Either way, if it's close, call him out. In a 23-3 game, yeah, you call him out when it's close. Hey, look, don't make it close. Run right through the base if you want to get that call. See, I'm old school. If you want to get that call every time of hitting the base, man, run right through it. Knock it down. Then there's no question.
Hey, DB. The base, you never miss it.
It's right, and as Brandon Chesser says over there, a veteran himself, put your face on the base and you'll never miss it. Words of wisdom from an NBBA board member and one who's got his name in Cooperstown and who's coming to the bat now.
Okay. That was an out.
That was an out, so that's the 2nd out of an inning. Mark Morris recording another putout. And we've we've got a sub.
We're going to have a sub here. We'll have to wait and see who this is going to be. 18 for 21. That is going to be.
Let's see what we have here. Well, 21.
18 is Daryl Miner.
I don't have a 21 on my roster. Hold on.
21 is Alex Gonzalez.
Alex Gonzalez.
Daryl
Oh,
Miner.
way down the roster. Okay, so this is a rookie. I believe this is going to be a rookie.
What happens here?
Yeah, me too.
I got 23. You got 23 or 24?
So Alex.
23? Okay.
So Alex Gonzalez in for Daryl Miner when that comes around. If Brandon Chesser can get a hit here.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait!
Brandon up at the plate. A couple practice swings there.
Go!
Foul!
It's going to be a foul as it does not quite make it past the pitcher.
One strike. Wait!
12th hitter to bat in this inning. 9 have scored so far. There's been 2 outs. So
20 run lead at this point.
they will have been through their order 2 full times in this inning once Brandon bats.
Go! Set, ball.
Plowing it down on the ground, just bounced off Kyle's hands. He's scrambling to go get it though, and he has it. He did redeem that.
So a damaging inning though. That's the end of the inning, but 9 more runs by Bayou City, and they led by 11 going into the inning. It is 23-3, and it will take 9 runs now for
them
the
to
Gateway
even.
Archers to even get out of the 12-run rule.
Which, speaking of the 12-run rule, for our listeners who are not familiar with that, as our
Just a
teams
second, I need to find out what his
switch
number is.
sides,
If he turn
why
around.
don't you briefly go
Hey, who
over
got the
that?
last put out over there?
12-run rule is
Kyle
a
Borrow.
modified version of the mercy rule. At the end of an inning, if a team is trailing by 12 or more runs, that team that's trailing stays up to bat and uses up the remainder of their outs or until they come back and tie or take the lead. If they use up the remainder of their outs, the game is declared over. If they tie or take the lead, then the team that was originally leading when the run rule began would get to use up the remainder of their outs until they either win the game or use up the remaining outs. So I know it sounds confusing, but think of it as, after this half of an inning, if it is a 12-run deficit or greater, the defense will simply stay out on the field for Bayou City, and Gateway will bat the rest of their at-bats. So it is very likely, barring an outburst here, that Gateway will be up for their remaining 9 outs here. That's not guaranteed. The run rule doesn't take effect until the end of the inning, not the half inning, and Gateway's the home team. But they would
So they
need
do have
9
their
runs
chance
now.
at bat.
They need to get it to 11 or less, or they're going to be in this run rule.
We do have the ball coming out to Michael Curtis, tossing it back and forth to Johnny Walker. As they practice that out while the Heat finishes setting up out in the field. And they've not spent much time in the field this game.
And
That last at bat, they were up there for, I'd say, almost a good half hour while the Archers were roasting out in the field.
well, and I will tell you one thing that I have noticed here today, and maybe it's because of, although there are water breaks every couple of innings
2 innings.
scheduled, but I have not seen the 2-minute changing sides rule enforced at all today. Teams have been taking their time switching up sides. They've been taking their time with their batters in the batter's circle. So I've heard a lot of talk about wanting to speed the game up. One way to speed the game up would be to get your players on and off the field quickly and change up sides. I've seen back in you've done Jets and Thunder championship games where literally they did it within 60 seconds, getting their players on and off the field.
Out and done.
Yep, and it keeps the game crisp. It keeps them moving. It keeps our volunteers and officials happy. But we have seen some long games today, and this is one of them.
This is Mark Morris up to bat.
He scored twice today.
Pop up, medium in left field, just past Coughlin. Brandon over there. He is going to be safe, though. That's going to be the start of one of the runs that they will need.
So Mark Morris has been a bright spot today there at the bat. He has scored 3 of the 4 runs.
And a little bit of a shining star there for the only bright light there. Well, I shouldn't say the only bright light, but the brightest light right there for the Archers.
It's really been a
game.
struggle. Yep, and Mark he's done his job, but unfortunately it's just been too much Bayou City offense to this point.
So switch back up. Johnny Walker back out at the pitcher's mound. With Kyle Bora at the plate.
As the wind is picked up again here, folks, and it's blowing some of our stuff around, so don't mind us.
Kyle ready for that pitch. And a little low under the bat. It's been a little bit of a struggle for Johnny this game, making some connections here. Tipping right up off the bat over to Jason Frazier.
Looking for your phone. That's right.
Solid connection down on the ground in left field at short past Coughlin. He's struggling to scramble over to it, and he is not going to be there in time. It's definitely what the Archers need, that mentally and physically, to be making these connections, keep them going.
2 runs right there to get us back into the game.
So this is going to bring the rookie Caleb Wright up.
Oh, there it is. Thanks.
He's a right-handed hitter, number 27 for the Archers. Some blue and white high-top cleats there. Finds home plate and sets up. Grabbing his bat back off from the front of home plate. Base check. He's going to check first again.
Couple of updates here. The Edge were ahead of the Titans comfortably, and the Indy Thunder had the Comets in a run rule. So it looks like the higher seeds are all winning. We've got a lot of chalk today.
Ooh, nice hit from Caleb. It's actually destroyed the ball. There's fluff all over in left field. Back out there, Brandon Chester's still going. Caleb's still making his way. He finally got the base. There's stuffing everywhere on the beginning of the field. Kind of halfway down. It almost looked like he was slowing down, like he was going to give up, but then continued on for the base. Probably going to need a new ball at this point. Again.
Well, and that's been a recurring theme here in this 3rd game of the day today.
We'll definitely have to clean up the ball. We have the beeper from the ball.
That score was 16-6, by the way, in the 4th. The Indy Edge, defending champions, leading the 10th seed New Jersey Titans. Titans and Austin Blackhawks could be a possible matchup for tomorrow morning. That'd be an interesting game in the 7-10 if that materializes. Talked about Chicago and Boston in the 8-9. That looks like that's going to happen. Gateway Archers looking at the Tyler Tigers if this score holds up, and Bayou City would play the Houston Hurricanes.
Chad Dillon at the plate, left-handed hitter.
And the Scrappers are 1-2. Cleveland Scrappers in full defensive timeout
for the Heat.
So it looks like Cleveland will end up with the Philly Fire.
Might be bringing somebody out here.
Maybe an injury timeout, Brandon Chesser.
Okay.
So Brandon Chesser is going to need to come out here, or at least he's being tended to, as if this game couldn't get any longer.
And I'm hoping that that's not a flare-up from his injury from last year's World Series.
Well, that's true. He came out in the middle of that, I think, the game against the Thunder, right, that you guys called as one of the game of the days last year.
Yeah.
And he didn't come back in after that.
He was on crutches for the rest of the weekend, although I think it was like 2 months later he was back out practicing.
Just in a different uniform.
Yeah.
By then he was at Bayou City
By
Heat.
then he was Heat.
Couple of runs in here for the Archers. They've got a long road back, but they've taken the first couple
They
of
have
steps
taken
anyway.
a couple stabs at it.
34 for 30.
So we have 34 coming in.
So that
Which is
should
Melvin
be
Gatewood.
He's been with Bayou City for a little while. He's not new to them.
He's putting on his arm sleeves and making his way out to the field. Still got his straw hat on. He might have to liquidate that.
Huh? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
I am. But thank you, John.
Gonna move him around. Instead of putting him where Brandon was, it looks like they're moving Ja'Cory Wiley over to the far left field. And taking Gatewood, or G Wood, out into right field.
Once again,
That's Joe Fleeks.
the top 4 seeds have either won this afternoon or are winning. The Edge, the Jets, the Thunder, and the Philly Fire. So this game is still to be decided. Most of those games, it looks like, have gone final or are about to go final based on the score updates I've been getting.
He still has his back turned to us as he's getting his line full. Sleep shades on and gloves. So again, this is Chad Dillon, left-handed for the Archers.
He has a run today.
Oi!
And a put out.
Right over the top of Johnny Walker's head, bouncing over Fleeks' body as he lays down. He comes back and he has it. There's a put out by Joe Fleeks.
Nice play by Fleeks. That's his second put out of the game.
What's his number?
11.
11. Yeah, there's 11. I'm sorry.
Who was that, 11?
Yes.
11, Joe Fleeks for the put out. And I laid down, bounced up off his body, almost straight up. It didn't go too far behind him. He rolled over and just grabbed it.
So after a couple of runs, is that the first out? Yes, that's the
That
first
is the
out.
first out.
After 3 runs, I suppose.
What's his number?
Putting Ethan Johnston back up to the plate.
After this,
23-6 now.
Well, it's better than 23-3. Scooping
And he's going to go
pops
back.
over to the batter's bat for the Archers.
Nice!
Oh, bounces down just past Johnny right in the center. They're going to have to move up. Joe's coming up for it, but he is safe. They're not going to have it in time. Joe let it slip out of his hands, tried to recover it, lost it again.
And what was it? 23. What was his name?
That's going to be a run for Ethan Johnston, bringing Demo up to bat for the Archers.
So give the Archers credit. No quitting them. 4 runs here in the bottom of the 4th. 1 out. It's 23-7 now. And if they can get a few more, maybe they can stay out of this run rule.
Definitely more energy in them on offense than they were showing out in defense previously. And this is Demo up to bat. Ooh, nice hard swing. Ball just over the bat. High pop up. It's going to be short and left. Bouncing just, rolled down Coughlin's back. He's grabbing, but nope, Demo has it. It popped up and rolled right down his back. Scrambled, turned around to get it, could not do it in time.
This is certainly the most successful inning of offense the Archers have had this game now, as the third time through their order, 5 out of the 6 of them score. Now back to Mark Morris, 23-8.
No, Steve's coming in.
And they're
Now
going to
this
bring
is
in...
Steve
Number 30.
Patton is now hitting. He's
All right,
come
Steve
in
Patton coming in for Mark Morris. So that's a substitution. And it sounds like, my guess is now, Gateway is going to empty their bench a little bit here this next time through the lineup and get a bunch of their players in. I haven't seen Steve Patton bat yet this year. I'm not sure what he can do. We'll find out.
All just under the bat.
You know, at some point you do want to conserve your starters and their energy for the double elimination, which starts tomorrow. And so I'm not sure. I can't say I blame Gateway for pulling the plug at this point and putting in some of their subs in a 15-run game in the bottom of the fourth. And it's late in the day, and this wasn't their day. Not this game.
I believe they will have another sub in for their next hitter. I just don't know who it is because they don't have a number 3 on the roster that I have. And that's who will be in.
Number 3, that would be Zion. I'm going to find his last name. What's this kid's last name? Zion.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3.
So that is an out.
Prince, P-R-I-N-C-E.
Zion Prince is a rookie. He is number 3.
I don't house him. So.
He was the latest addition. He's the only one, I think, on any team that your rosters there are not going to reflect.
23 days.
He was the very last player added to any team at this World Series.
It's up to bat for the Archers.
He
Right-handed
did run.
batter.
Zion Prince did run in the fastest runner competition yesterday and didn't do too bad, all things considered. He made the final 5.
Did make connection, went foul right over to the Archers bench. He's coming back to home plate.
Yeah, we're going to get confirmation on that, but we've been told 3 home runs hit already at this World Series
Definitely
on the
know by
first
tomorrow
day.
when we let
Well,
the 11:30 game.
Well, David Smith's one was confirmed, and then I've heard that Corey White and Dustin Youngren from the Comets, that would be his first of his career if he did that.
Ooh, almost hit himself as he swung that bat so hard around and dropped it. Another hard, high swing. And that is going to be out.
So that will put us into the 12-run rule. And they're going to call a 5-minute water break here. So while we have this break, want to recognize the members of our stream team, Graham Mathenia, and on the videography and the production with Live Event Productions. Again, I'm David Benny, and I've got Rosina Foster with me, the Director of Public Relations for the National Beat Baseball Association is Richie Flores. The Tournament Director here is Cassie Hopkins. The President of the National Beat Baseball Association is Jerry Wendell.
Head umpire, Jason
Head
Price,
umpire.
who is umping this game for us.
He got assigned this game, and so he's
Been
been
here
here
for
most of the time.
most.
He got called away for something on another field, and Cassie actually herself took over for about a half an inning, not even a half an inning.
But had a difficult call there as well.
Seems like a long time ago, but it was still earlier this game, as there's been a lot of runs and a lot of plays since then. I am seeing, is this 23-9?
We're at
23-8?
23-8 currently.
23-8 as we enter the 12-run rule. I will
We do
check
have
and see if there are any
everybody taking
updates.
their hydration water
Everything's
breaks. A
over.
lot of sitting from the archers this time around. We do have Caleb Wright still out at the plate since he will be up at bat when they return. So he's practicing some runs, trying to be ready for his time up at the bat. But a lot of resting, a lot of water drinking, people standing by their fans, hydrating the misters, getting more water, just trying to stay in the shade, even for a few minutes to regenerate and be ready to come out here and finish this game. The archers at this point I probably just want to finish this and be done so they can concentrate on tomorrow.
And as we had this break, I had a chance to go back and look at the National Beat Baseball Association list of past World Series champions. And for those listeners out there who are interested in our little debate, they are listed as the Houston Bombers, at least for the World Series, for the list of past World Series champions, the 2002 Houston Bombers. So if they were called the Bayou City Heat in 2002, that is not what's listed on that list, and you can find that on the nbba.org website. Maybe we can get if anybody knows the answer, it would be Kevin Barrett, our Hall of Fame and historians chair. Kevin Barrett keeps a lot of our old archives and statistics, and so maybe we can find out from him in case we have to call another Bayou City Heat game. But my recollection is also it was Bombers versus Bombers in the 2002 championship game, Oklahoma City and Houston. They became the Heat later. I reserve the right.
Bombers versus Bombers.
It was Bombers versus Bombers. I reserve the right to be wrong about that, but I am going by the list of past World Series champions and runners-up.
So the champion would have been the Bombers.
The Bombers of Houston. And several of those players are still on this roster. Of course, Fonzie pitched that. That was 21 years ago. This week, Fonzie pitched it. Daryl Miner was in that starting lineup. Lee Rodriguez, who's now the coach, he was in that starting lineup. Blake Boudreau, who's with the Houston Hurricanes, he would have been in that lineup, and his dad, Chuck, would have been coaching that team that year. And then they had a few players that are no longer in the league that people will remember that are in the Hall of Fame now, John Thibodeau being one of them, was on that team. They just hit, and they hit, and they hit until the umpire either said they won or the game was over. They didn't stop. And I think that championship game was 31-30. The second
game.
one, yeah, when they had to come back late and they beat Oklahoma. Tim Hibner was the pitcher of the
2-minute
Oklahoma
call
team.
from Jason Price.
So when we get back to action, we'll be going straight into the bottom of the fifth because we're now in the 12-run rule. So the Archers have 6 outs to work with and a deficit of 15 runs.
But this will be the first time that the Heat is going to now spend a little bit more prolonged time out defense in the field. They are tired. Everyone's tired. It's the end of a long day. We'll see how fast that they stay out there, how fast they produce these put outs, or if they're going to start to have some small minor mistakes. Looks like some of the people on the Archers team are now starting to stand up and get up and move around. People on the Heat are still sitting other than Fonzie, taking advantage of their break.
Doing fine.
We are starting to develop a few clouds here today. I'm not sure if they're going to pertain and hold over for tomorrow to help us out. Many teams are packing up. I can see in the field across from us, they're all packing up and leaving. They are not only done, but packed up and done. We are going to start heading out to the field.
Yeah, this is it. This looks like the only game still left going on, at least in this part of the complex. And the fact that I haven't gotten any score updates recently tells me that the rest of them are probably over as well. And now all we're doing is cutting into our happy hour. You're right about that. As we call the rest of this game, and then for those of you that are tuned in still, if you care to join us later tonight, feel free. I think we're going to be going live from the hospitality room. President Jerry Wendell, myself, and it sounds like Richie Flores, to preview what's coming up tomorrow and review what has happened today. And we will know by then what at least our first game of the day stream is going to be at 11:30 tomorrow morning. Like I said, now that I got an idea of the brackets, that Boston-Chicago Comets game is looking awfully tasty.
That will be a hot contender, especially if Dustin has gotten that.
Sure, and you've got JT and Rob Weissman matching up as coaches, and two, long-standing NBBA teams. I'm not guaranteeing that's going to be the one, but that looks like a tasty one for 11:30.
Always entertained watching Kalari out on the field.
She is a ball of exuberance.
Absolutely. If you see Fonzie hopping around and you think that's anything out there, Kalari is all over the place.
I would say they're similar in nature as far as their exuberance.
I'd say Kalari's got him one step up.
Well, yeah, don't let Fonzie hear you say that. He'll start hopping and jumping even more.
I'll tell him. Might make for some more interesting games.
I think we're gonna get this going now.
Yep, field is getting set up. Gonna get some base checks.
I'll get you. You probably need a ball.
Got the ball out to Johnny Walker now. Remember, this is Caleb Wright up to bat. As we start in on that 12-run roll. Base check.
Bayou City is requesting a new ball.
No, they're hold up to see if they can hear it first. And now they do want to do it.
Yeah.
Another siren, but we already are waiting for a ball, so it doesn't matter. Hope whoever the ambulance is rushing to is all right.
It went seemingly right past our park, though, so I don't think that has anything to do with us. This is Caleb Wright, hard-hitting lefty. He finished third in the home run, the longest ball competition yesterday. It's not a home run competition, it's a strict longest ball. He finished third behind Bill Landrum and Steve Miller.
High pop up into center. Oh, going to be dropping right in front of Richie. It's behind him. They're scrambling for it. He is going to be safe. That was probably a good 120 feet up in the air.
All around Richie, but another run in, and it's 23-9.
It's bringing Henry Allen up to bat.
Still 6 outs left to play with for Gateway and Henry Allen. So now we're seeing all of the reserves coming in. Really, a lot of them for both teams here. More of them for Gateway.
Caleb making his way back behind for home plate. Just barely missing contact with that. Catching a touch on that, rolling over to the Archers bench. Making connection. It's bouncing around over into right field. Still bouncing. Trying to... It is past them. And it's going to be a run for Henry Allen. Rolled right past. Let's say Joe Fleeks couldn't quite make it. And then Gatewood was not able to get to it in time. It's bringing Lowell Chesney up for the Archers.
Another reserve. Lowell played for the old St. Louis firing squad back in the days when the firing squad were a team. And Lowell was one of several Gateway Archers players who were honored on the field of Busch Stadium last Friday. Him and Chad Dillon and Kyle Bora. Jason Frazier from Mind's Eye was on the field for that, and Mike Curtis. And it was just a great ceremony for the Gateway Archers during a Cardinals-Cubs game on a Friday night in St. Louis, which you don't get much bigger than that. Great exposure for the Gateway Archers program, for Mind's Eye, and for the NBBA. Absolutely, and that's on top of Boston Renegades throwing out the first pitch at Fun Fenway Park last week. So it's just been phenomenal, and we really appreciate the involvement now that Major League Baseball is starting to have in this adapted version of America's pastime. There's a strike.
First for Lowell.
Still nobody out, and Gateway making this look a little more respectable in terms of what the final outcome is going to be.
Another strike. And that's going to be out.
That's one out in the fifth now as Lowell strikes out.
Bringing Steve Patton up.
This will be his second at bat.
Using his bat against the front of the plate to set up his placement.
Houston, Bayou City Heat have never trailed in this game. They scored 4 in the top of the first, added 4 in the second, 6 in the third, and 9 in the fourth for 23.
A nice level swing. Ball underneath the bat.
And anyone who's followed the World Series of Beat Baseball before knows that the tension just builds and builds, and the drama just builds and builds as the week goes on. And you'll be able to tell by the time we get to Friday, really into it. These games are going to get more and more competitive. Well, even on Thursday when we start talking about semifinal matchups.
It's right going to be foul. It's going to go tap and hit third base over there.
But today, on Tuesday, in the round-robin portion of the tournament, what often happens, it looks like has happened this year, where the higher seeds have generally won and won convincingly. Not very many real competitive nail-biter games here on this first day.
Not too many surprises.
That will change. No. And I think part of that is there's a second out of the inning on a strikeout, but part of the reason for that is the new ranking system that we have now in Beat Baseball. We don't just rank them, seed the teams based on their finish from last year. There's a whole set of criteria that are used. All of the teams get to weigh in and take part in the selections of where these teams are ranked, and so they generally are able to get it pretty right, and that's why you see the higher seeds mostly winning and dominating on the first day. Now what will happen is as you get later and later into the winner's bracket portion of the tournament, there's a strike, you will see the games get more and more competitive.
This is Zion Prince.
Second at bat for the rookie Zion Prince.
Readjusting some footwork there with Johnny Walker.
All right,
Not
first
sure
of
that-
all,
I think it's
she
right
shouldn't have
on
been
it.
able to. There was somebody over there directing the base runner, and that shouldn't have been happening. Secondly, the base turned on and went off. That shouldn't have happened.
Not sure what.
There was a
happened there.
volunteer from Gateway that was talking throughout that entire play, directing Zion Prince. Let's see what
The ball
Jason Price
stopped
does
right in the-
about it.
Still waiting to see how this comes out.
It'll either be a run or he'll bring him back.
And Johnny talking to Joe Fleeks over there. And Jason Price did call him safe. I haven't heard any changes off of that. So we do have Caleb Wright back up to bat. So I believe they're going to keep that. He's going to get that run.
Well, fair enough, because I guess it would have been a late base anyway, but there was a whole lot of chatter coming from the St. Louis bench as he was running down the baseline. From the Gateway bench. Shouldn't call them St. Louis. They represent the whole area of the St. Louis area. They're actually headquartered out in Illinois in the Metro East across the river.
Catching contact on that. It's going to be short and left. Mike Coughlin going to scoop that up.
He got
That
it.
is going to be out.
So that's the end of the 5th inning. So now we'll go straight into the bottom of the 6th in the run rule. Last at bats for the Archers. And the Heat 3 outs away from a very impressive victory. It's one thing to do this to the lower seeded teams in the first 2 games, but when you get to the 2:30 on Tuesday game and you're playing similar competition, or at least what's supposed to be similar,
To Runaway. They have just been on point the whole game.
they
Start to finish.
they felt like they deserved the number 5 seed for what it's worth, which isn't much because the 5 and 6 play each other, but they felt like they deserved the number 5 seed, and I think Bayou City came out today and really wanted to prove that should have been theirs.
Strike for Henry. Caught a little contact on it. It's rolling. It looks like it's just barely going to be fair. And Mike Coughlin coming up to grab that ball. That is going to be out before Henry could get to the base. Bringing Wool back up to bat.
And more of my papers just blew away, y'all, so I quit. I'm not going to have any rosters left by the end of the week if this prevailing wind keeps up like it has, which I don't mind. It feels really good, but it's not conducive for trying to keep stuff together, folks, when we do not have a closed press box. We are out in the elements.
Wool doing a practice swing there.
We've recovered some of the paperwork now, folks.
Catching a little tip on that as it goes over the bat.
Can you imagine? And now, of course, we're looking 2 rounds ahead. But how about a 4-5 matchup at 2:30 tomorrow possibly between the Philly Fire and the Bayou City Heat? It might be one.
Nice little tap there by. Oh, it's going to be foul. Kind of curved in the air. Back up ready for the pitch. Johnny ready. Making contacts, going right to Mike. He's just got to lay. Oh, he laid his body down too late. It went right behind him. They're scrambling for that, but he is going to be safe.
Wow. You don't see that happen often with Mike Coughlin. He just misread that ball.
He just threw his body down just a hair too late.
And that may be the difference between playing at 8:30 in the morning and playing at 5 in the afternoon, is just that split second, because that's a play Coughlin makes easily most of the time.
So this is going to be Liam McCoy up to bat for the Archers, his first at bat. Some adjustments out in the field.
Hey, sleep. Thank you. Play.
Solid connection, almost hit Johnny. It's going right down the center. They're rushing over there to grab it. Because Mike Coughlin, he has it. He's not going to let another one slip past him. Good contact for Liam there. This will be bringing Steve Patton back up.
So the Heat a little bit closer now.
Coughlin definitely not about to let another one slip past
No,
him.
lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. So
Is Steve ready? Get that nice level swing. Gonna go underneath the bat for a strike. Gonna be under the bat again. Still dropping just underneath the bat.
Philly Fire final 21-9. They get the win over the Austin Blackhawks, and there's the last out of the game on a strikeout.
So that is the game. We have the Heat coming in. Huddle up for the congratulations line. Archer's going out there. It was just kind of a walk away almost from the beginning for the Heat.
I would call that a statement game. That is the number 6 seed beating the number 5 seed, and it was not close. Not even as close, I dare say, as the final score indicated. It was 23-3 when the teams were at full strength before they started putting in reserves. The Archers, give them credit for getting in there and putting up some runs late, but this was an impressive victory for a Bayou City Heat team that if they can keep up that level of especially offensive production, they've got a chance to really compete with even the top 4 in this tournament. I'm going to be interested to see what Bayou City can do. Tomorrow they should be okay in their first game, and then they could be looking at a matchup with the BSO Philly Fire, who are also running hot. So interesting is going to be tomorrow. We're going to redraw the brackets later. Stay with the NBBA Facebook page as they will announce and publish the brackets on the page, and then we will be live somewhere around 9 o'clock Central Time to break everything down for you and get you ready for tomorrow, as we will have 3 game of the days tomorrow, 2 from the winners bracket of the elimination, double elimination, and the Wool game also tomorrow evening. Final thoughts, Rosina?
Well, I don't think there was really a clear head lead player on the Heat. They were all super consistent. They all were a good, smooth, meshed team. They were all playing well. They were all participating, both offensively and defensively. I do think on the Archer side, I would have to say Mark Morris, even though there was a lot of close plays that he didn't quite get, he was hustling out there. I mean, it was running this way, running that way, right in behind him, running in front of him. He was all over the place, and I have to give it to him. I really think that he was kind of the little bright, little shining star there for this specific game for the Archers. It just seemed like, I don't know if it was the heat
Or the heat.
or the heat, but they just did not have it today.
It was the heat. It was Fonzie. I agree with Mark Morris. I'm going to give a shout out to Daryl Miner for the Bayou City Heat, who's hitting the ball well and made a defensive play or two. For Rosina Foster, for Graham Athena and Live Event Productions, David Benny, thanks for tuning in today.